sad day to have to play this.
Yeah, really. What a bummer. I'm glad I got to meet him at least once or twice in my lifetime.
I'm glad I'll say this, if anyone got the chance to meet this man, you were lucky. Because he was one of the craziest son of a bitches for the WWE, for the world of professional wrestling. We're talking, of course, about Roddy Piper, who I don't know, 40 minutes before the show started, it was announced that Roddy had passed away.
Yeah, I mean, I know years ago he battled cancer. I guess they're saying this was what? It was cardiac arrest this time around. So I don't know if it was complications due to something else.
He had lymphoma.
Yeah.
I think it was 2006. And then he overcame it.
Right.
And then returned back to WWE and was doing what they call the Legends contract. So he's making appearances and doing special things on Raw and at big pay-per-views, and was an ambassador for the company at that point.
Absolutely. Look, he was a legend, and everybody loved him. Even when you hated him, you loved him. You know, he was just that guy. But I gotta say, in person,
just as he would say, just when you get the answers, he changes the questions.
There you go. But in person, he was one of the nicest dudes I ever met. I actually sat next to him at a con. I had a booth right next to his.
Oh, cool.
At a con years ago. And so I sat next to him for 2 days straight. And he was just a nice guy, like down to earth. And he was so welcoming to all the fans. And I can't say enough nice things about him. I'm glad that I got my They Live sunglasses signed by him. They're proudly on display in my home.
That's awesome. You should put them in a nice little shadow box or something.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a little bit better care of them now, I think.
He's 61. What do you think the life expectancy of a wrestler is?
Usually it's not 61.
I was going to say, he actually went pretty long.
Maybe for the younger generation, but for the older guys, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's start the show officially with everything we've been doing here. Welcome to It's Erik Nagel, 866-969-1969 is the phone number if you want to get in touch with us here at the program. I am Erik. It's Erik Nagel on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Follow all those things if you can. If you want to interact with the show, It's Erik Nagel on Twitter is definitely the best way to go if you don't call in. Matt OG is here. Geek Stuff OG on the Twitter and Instagram.
Indeed.
How are you?
I am lovely, thank you. I had a busy week, but I am good. I went to a small convention last weekend in New Jersey, which was fun.
All right.
And I managed to see Minions and Ant-Man, which is unusual for me. I never get to see any movies, so for me to see 2 movies in like a 3 or 4 day period was pretty unique. But,
all right, we will get into that in just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lisa Correo's here. Hi, Lisa.
What's up?
Welcome back.
Thanks.
I can't find out where I dropped my bag.
I saw Ant-Man too.
Oh, well. You did?
Yes, I did.
I must be the only one who hasn't.
Get on it.
A lot of people have seen it at this point. Today, yes. I think they officially announced it surpassed Green Lantern in the box office, which isn't really saying much. But yeah, no, it's still doing good. I mean, it held the #1 spot. I think at least 2 weekends in a row. I don't know about the third weekend. I guess that's this week, and we'll see. But it's doing all right for the movie that they didn't think was going to do good.
I wanted you to think with how much we're interested in Marvel and those movies and things like that. I would have ran out as soon as it was open. And I still haven't. I don't know why.
Without spoiling anything, I'm going to tell you why I think Ant-Man is so amazing. I think Marvel has figured out a way to continue to not duplicate any of its previous movies. It's redefined itself again as a heist movie with this movie. And I think the reason that Marvel movies are so successful is because they're not superhero movies. They're actually movies that exist in different genres that happen to have superheroes in them. Okay. Espionage, heist, action, space comedy. I mean, they're all very unique and different, and they happen to just have superheroes in them. And that's why they don't get boring, at least to me.
All right.
That's my opinion.
Well, we'll get into Ant-Man a little bit more in depth in a few minutes. Matt's here, Lisa's here, and also another Matt is here, our old friend Matt Ryan.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well, aside from the fact that one of my heroes died today.
I know. But I'm still here, Matt. At least you can rest your laurels on that.
Yay.
Yeah, it was just weird because Matt wanted to come in and talk about some other stuff, and this just happened to be a weird time where it's actually perfect to have Matt in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And also my girlfriend Stephanie's here with us, who's also a gigantic Roddy Piper fan, and it's not been a good day for her.
She's sobbing in the corner quietly there. Matt used to intern for the Opie and Anthony program, and we've kept in touch over the years. Actually is making a real go in the wrestling industry. Can we talk about your new thing?
Kinda. It's not official yet, but
I've seen you do it.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's making this up. I've seen him do it, but he's doing color commentary for Ring of Honor.
Oh, nice.
Which is a great step up.
Yeah, it is. I've been working with them on and off for about 4 years, and the best wrestling on the planet, and the opportunity to work with those guys is, a dream come true. Erik knows, everybody knows that I've been a fan of the wrestling business since I can remember, and to be a part of that, to be a part of the second biggest wrestling company in the United States, probably third biggest in the world outside of New Japan, it's cool to be a part of that and, establish yourself with that brand. And it's cool to call professional wrestling matches. It's not, as fun as this, but it's fun in its own special way, and you get to do I get to do what I wanted to do since I was 2. So that's pretty fucking cool.
Not many people, I guess it's kind of cliche to say that, but not many people get to do what they actually want to do in their life. And when you get, somebody who actually has that opportunity and gets there, and still getting to higher ends in that particular chosen field, you just got to wish them all the best and applaud them for really sticking it out and committing to it.
Sure.
A lot of people don't do that. They're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Did you put any of the work into it? Nah, it was too hard, or nah, I had other things. And then don't bitch and complain that you're working some shitty job that you're not happy with.
Right. Well, Matt has certainly put in his time, for wrestling. I mean, you've been in the trenches, so to make this step is huge. That's great.
Thank you very much. And this year's been the best year professionally for me, not only because of the wrestling stuff, but I've been able to get to do podcasts. I get to do 3 to 4 different shows every week. I get to work with Steph on a nearly constant basis. We do 3 different shows together. So to get to work with a person you love, support, and makes you better, because she's the funny one of the two of us. Like, I'm not the talented one. It's pretty easy for me to just show up. I push all the buttons. I basically do what Lewis does on the other side of the glass there, and I talk occasionally, but Steph's
Lewis looks insulted, but that's okay.
It's all
He's
right,
just back there hitting buttons randomly.
Maybe Lewis needs a red beard.
I know,
maybe that's what's keeping him back in this industry.
What? It's holding him back.
Well, we've dubbed Lewis now. His new name is Biggie Johnson.
I can see it.
That's right.
I can see it.
So that's his new name here on the show. Matt, thoughts about Roddy Piper? You said he was your hero and stuff like that. Lay into a little bit for people who don't know the brilliance that was Roddy Piper, or if you want to go by his real name, Roderick George Toombs.
To talk about Roddy Piper in just a few words is a near impossible task, but if you wanted to speak about someone who was themselves, because the quintessential wrestling characters are themselves, that was Roddy Piper. Every single thing he did, he believed in. Every part of him was part of the wrestling business. He came from Canada, essentially orphaned. His family kicked him out, and he made it on his own. As a young punk kid traveling through Canada down to San Francisco and Los Angeles, where he got his first break and basically created race riots wherever he went, to going into Portland, breaking bottles over his head just to do it, to sell tickets. If you wanted to pop a wrestling territory, if you in the 1970s wanted the ultimate bad guy, you got Roddy Piper. In an era where wrestling was built on big, strong, barrel-chested dudes, Roddy Piper didn't look like that. It was the start of guys like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, and him defying what was expected of professional wrestling and creating their own brand and their own identity. And we wouldn't have professional wrestling the way it is now if we didn't have Roddy Piper. Everybody talks about Batman, everybody talks about Superman, but there's always that other side of the coin that makes that other person better. You don't buy WrestleMania. You don't show up to watch Saturday night's main event. You don't sell out Madison Square Garden if you're Hulk Hogan or Vince McMahon without Roddy Piper.
This, my friends, is why he's doing color commentary for Ring of Honor. It's almost like he had that written, but he wasn't even looking at us. He was looking off at the wall, pontificating, and moving the hand around like Leaping Lenny Poffo. It's like, you don't understand the depths and the levels that I'm going to describe this gentleman here.
It's scratching the surface. I actually got to meet him last year, and I was working some show in Queens. I was managing in the dark match for some show run by some Jamoke promoter. And on the show, Cowboy Bob Orton J.J. Dillon, who I've gotten to meet several other times, and Roddy Piper.
Right.
And I'm taking the train in, and I'm texting with Steph because Roddy Piper means a lot to both of us, because the first time we ever hung out together, we watched Sci-Fighters, which is a terrible.
I know of it, never watched
movie.
it.
We didn't get a chance to finish it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. We're gonna watch it and finish it eventually. But
Because nothing says date movie like that particular
it was her
film.
idea. Ask her yourself. It was her idea.
She's looking at her like, why are you yelling at me?
No, but I go to the show, and me and Steph talked about it beforehand, and we basically said, like, this is amazing. This is awesome. If you get a chance to talk to him, talk to him. Ask him not just about wrestling stuff, but ask him about marriage advice, because he was a dedicated family man. For all the crazy shit he did, he was a dedicated father and husband, and it showed. We had like 2 20-minute conversations. First time he had to go and do something, but he grabbed me to talk to me again, and we talked about promos, we talked about philosophy, we talked about all this other stuff that makes a good wrestling heel. Because for the most part, I've got a punchable face, so I'm deep.
Well, that equals money in wrestling.
Oh yeah, man.
If you got a face that everyone just wants to hit with something, they're like, get out in the ring, manage everybody that we're trying to put over.
Pretty much, and I've been lucky to do that as well. But it's just, he was the nicest human being who didn't have to be.
Right. That's what I was surprised too. I was lucky enough to meet him a few times in the last 10 years, and he's a quiet guy, and he just keeps to himself. But he always had this way of, when he was laughing at something, he would close his eyes, and it was almost Stevie Wonder-like, where he'd close his eyes and lean his head back and go with his mouth open, like a quiet, silent laugh before he belted out how funny he thought something was. And every time I met him, it was just like the first time, and wasn't any difference. It's like he was just a genuinely nice gentleman.
That's the consensus.
Yeah. I want to go to the phones here and speak to my friend Chad Dukes. Chad.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Hi. Chad hosts a show called the Chad Dukes Wrestling Show on 106.7 WJFK in Washington, D.C. Sort of a wrestling expert, aficionado, and I wanted to get some of his thoughts as far as Roddy Piper passing away today. Chad, do I have to tell you to turn your radio down?
No, I've even pulled over to the side of the road as you've kept me on hold for 9 minutes.
Okay.
It's on your end, Nagel.
I guess so.
Yeah, as far as all the stuff you guys are saying, I always rooted for the bad guys, and when I was kind of culling that as a child, it was Darth Vader and it was Hot Rod. It was Roddy Piper, and I always found that he made whoever he was feuding with look not as interesting, and that's no disrespect, because he feuded with the greats, and he just always had more to say. He always caught my eye. I love the gimmick. He lived it. He breathed it. I couldn't believe he wasn't Scottish when I found out. And then, like you guys, I've had a chance to interview him a couple times, and just you wouldn't find a more gracious guy. And I can't imagine how many fat marks like myself have come up to him over his career and told him how much they love him. And I did all that nonsense, and he was gracious, and he was amazing, and he's everything you'd want him to be if you were a fan of his. And I don't know how many times you've experienced it, Erik. I know that it's happened to me a lot. There's nothing worse than somebody you like, you get a chance to meet him and interview him, and they're a dickhead. And he was the opposite of that. So it's just a horrible bummer and a horrible run we've been on recently with Dream and Warrior and all these guys just going far earlier than you would like them to do.
I think you actually get bummed out when you interview a heel, which for those who don't know the wrestling term is the bad guy. When you interview one of those guys and if they are the bad guy, you're like, well, I expected that. I knew his character, I knew what we were going into. But when they're nice, that off puts you. It's like, this guy's supposed to be a total piece of garbage, and he's shaking your hand, he's looking you in the eye, and he's really listening to your conversation with him.
Yeah, I wasn't off put by that, because I always, from very early on, I never had to be told that wrestling was, for lack of a better term, fake. Like, I always kind of got it. And so when I'd interview one of these guys, you ever interview Damian Sandow? It's impossible.
No.
He won't drop the character. He won't drop the character, so you just sit there and you're like, I don't know what to ask you because this is so difficult. And Piper would tell you about the business, and he'd tell you about Flair, and he would be honest, and he would be open. And he was always a pleasure if you could wrangle him and get him on. And he stayed active. He wanted to be involved. I remember interviewing him right before Mania when Hogan was going to come out. He said, I got to be in the ring there. If we're going to do this again like WrestleMania 2, I've got to be there. He wanted to be involved and be a part of it up until the very end. At 60, what is he, 61?
Yeah, he passed at 61.
These guys just put themselves through such a ringer when, early. And I'm so glad they know more about health and drugs and things like that now. Hopefully we're not seeing, Dolph Ziggler pass away at 59 in a few years. It's such a bummer for anyone that's our age, and you kind of lose all of these guys that you identify so much of your childhood with. It's something to go through.
Well, it's been I'll say less than popular week for wrestling now with the passing of Roddy Piper, the Hulk Hogan stuff that happened this week and is still coming out. You'd think that it was probably hitting the end, and who knows what next week brings here. So this just also falls into to a time that you really just don't want to deal with this. But here we are, and the passing of Roddy Piper at age 61 from cardiac arrest, right?
Yeah, it's terrible. And it just, you gotta think, I don't know what he did, I don't want to speak to it, but you just hear, you got the uppers to get yourself going, you got, the painkillers to help yourself go to sleep because you're jacked up and you got to wrestle again the next night, and then that's not any extracurricular stuff, like any of the booze or the drugs, the coke or whatever. I don't know how much you did, but people just like, well, how's his heart giving out? He's a thin guy. Well, it can only take so much, and that's what sucks about all this. It's stuff that you can't. Half these guys have been clean. Half these guys find Jesus. Half these guys are living the right type of life, and their body just can't recover from what they went through in their heyday. You just pray and hope that all the guys that are doing it now are kind of learning this hard lesson, as all these guys are going too early.
Right. Do you have a particular promo or instance of seeing Piper on TV or a pay-per-view that really hits home with you, Chad?
No, it's all everyone's going to say Snuka, of course, which is, if you watch that whole thing, it's even better. Everyone gets wrapped up in the coconut smack, but afterwards it's Snuka crawling on the ground and Piper's just taunting him. It's incredible. But do you guys remember, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago, that the WWE actually put the straps, the WWE titles, the tag team titles, on him and Flair, and they were the tag team champions, both of them in their late 50s. I'm so stand up for that. Some reason. Just get those guys in one more run. That it was always something that was very fun. His whole career was so incredible. I always remember that very, very fondly. There's some great pictures of both of them holding up the WWE tag titles, I want to say in the early 2000s.
Chad, your phone was crapping out for a tiny bit. I'll just reiterate what Chad was talking about. A while ago, as legends, Piper and Ric Flair were back on WWE TV, and they put the tag team straps on them, which is unreal to do at that point and everything, but they did it, and Piper was not a guy that held any major title outside of Intercontinental, which was a big title, but it was the stepping stone to the heavyweight division. Never had that, and I don't think until that point he had a tag team strap on him, did he?
No, I don't think so. And then it lets you know how different the business is. Now, I don't have to tell you this, but I love Edge, but Edge is like a 12-time world heavyweight champion, and John Cena's already close to matching what Ric Flair did.
Yeah, I think he's at 15.
Yeah, it just shows you how much differently they viewed the title back then that they do now, and I think that's why that tag team run meant so much, because you're right. He's one of these all-time greats that they never allowed to have that world title run.
Yeah, but back in that day, Hogan in his heyday in the 80s had the title for 4 years. Nowadays, It changed. Not so much anymore, but as early as a year or two ago, that title kept changing hands on Raw and SmackDown on television, and didn't really mean anything by flipping it off so fast, back and forth on TV. There was no real desire to see that as the main event anymore. All right, another title match. And what they're doing with Brock Lesnar now is he has the title. He's not on TV for months at a time, until another pay-per-view that's worth him coming back shows up, and now he's challenging somebody, or somebody's challenging him for the title.
Right.
It gives it that prize fight feel. It gives it that sense of specialness that you want to go and see this match, because you don't get to see him that often. So you want to go and see this and pay for the pay-per-view or the WWE Network to watch it, because that's something really special to watch. And unfortunately, Piper never really had that opportunity. He would have been great at the top, especially being such a mouthpiece for the company. You could just throw him out there no matter what it was, and he could riff on anything and cut through everybody. I think the closest that came to the talent level as Piper was maybe The Rock. because The Rock can go out there and do really well too. And there's other guys who are coming up who are doing very well. But Piper, ask anybody, Piper was the guy that everybody idolized who to speak promos and go out in the ring and just speak his mind.
And also it gives you good perspective. You know, I'm a huge Bray Wyatt fan, and people are bitching, well, Bray Wyatt got a title run yet. Well, does he need a title? Or is he, you know, one of your best performers with or without the belt? It's the difference between viewing the belt as a reward, as something earned, and viewing the belt as a tool to get somebody over with the crowd. And I prefer the latter as opposed, you know, to the former. But when you look at this, when you look at what it means, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, I don't think Mr. Perfect ever held the world heavyweight. I mean, all these guys that we love so much, none of them were world champions, and they certainly weren't 14-time world champions. It's almost like box office receipts where you say, well, how can Avatar have made more money than Jaws? Well, it didn't. It's just that 3 tickets, $12 now, and people are paying $50, you know, Sawbuck to get in to see Jaws. It just shows it's more of a mirror to look at how much the times have changed in the industry.
Yeah. Well, Roddy Piper is going to sorely be missed here. We'll see what kind of tribute that the network's going to put up. Just like the news, you know, they've got that footage ready to go. There's a montage, a whole thing of perspective on his career and retrospective on his career. And this is a big blow. I mean, there's not many legends that are still around, or two that are around that people would care about. But to this day, as we started the show with the bagpipes, his theme, with that hit, and we were in a commercial break, and the arena's kind of low right now. Everyone's just like a slight murmur, not even saying anything. If that hit, that place would erupt just as much as Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan or The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin. If any of their music hit, they go crazy. And all he would do now, in the later years, he'd walk out in his leather jacket. He'd have the Hot Rod shirt or a black shirt on or something, and his kilt, and he would stand there and he would take it in. A lot of guys are still performing, run out and do whatever. He would stop at the top of the ramp there, look around and take it in, and you swear he was almost going to cry. Just by the audience still loves this man.
Man. He really was beloved. He's the guy you love to hate.
And if you want to see some of his last work, if you got the WWE Network, look up Legends House, which was just a bizarre project for them to do, but he was part of that, and you got to watch him and kind of see a little bit of his into his psyche there as far as what he's been dealing with as a human being. Definitely want to check that out. Chad, let's promote your wrestling show.
All right, if you don't mind, that'd be great. It's just ChadDukesWrestling.com. We do it every week. We actually did a bunch of stuff with Ring of Honor this week. We had Jay Lethal on, Dalton Castle, Moose, some of the incredible talent they have down there. We try to cover a little bit of everything. So if anybody's interested, it's at Dukes Wrestling on Twitter. And I'll be listening to the show, guys. Thanks for having me on, and always appreciate it, E-Rock.
And also BigOandDukes.com. Check out their show as well.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, bud.
All right, thanks, Chad. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oop, didn't mean to cut him off there. So, all right. Passing Roddy Piper, very sad. Nothing more than we can do with that.
No.
But we do have some people who are on the phone here and want to talk about it. Do you mind if we go and do
go
that?
for it.
Okay. Let's go to Greg in North Carolina. Greg?
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Actually, I have a quick Roddy story. Last year in Charlotte, they had it's called a Mad Monster Party. It's a horror movie convention, kind of pop culture thing, and Roddy was here signing autographs at the table and stuff, and me and my buddy Mike came up, waited in line. We got there, and my buddy is a massive fan, just telling Roddy that, hey, me and my dad used to watch you growing up, blah, blah, blah. It's awesome to meet you. And with like 100 people behind us, Roddy was like, hey, is your dad still with us? And my friend's like, oh, absolutely. He's like, let's call him up right now. He called up my friend's dad on the spot and like thanked his father for like being there for him and being such a great dad and growing up watching him as a wrestler. And it was like one of the most surreal things ever. Like people on the line were just blown away. And it was just one of those moments that you just see how much they appreciate their fans.
And that's great because a lot of them, they'll say they appreciate their fans, but they still, are in that mindset of, I'll say it's a depression where they think they should be getting the attention that they used to have and all the perks and the car service and first class flights and all that stuff. And they don't have that. And they have to go do these cons. They say to meet their fans, but a lot of the time it's to make ends meet, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But when you get those guys who, despite all of that, still are nice to you, still thank you like you're their only fan and treat you that way while you're dealing with them at that moment is amazing. He was one of those gentlemen. And as Greg here said, called your dad. That's awesome that he took the time out to do that.
Yeah, it was incredible.
All right, man. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it.
Hey, have a good one.
All right, take care. One of the things I noticed he loved doing too was not too long ago they came out with They Live soda.
Yeah.
The bubblegum soda.
Uh-huh.
And I forgot where I was. I think it was a con or something. He was there. And some people had that. And that was the first time that I've seen the actual soda. And he laughed every time when he saw it. He's like, this stuff's so great. He's like, I wouldn't drink it, but this is awesome. And, he signed it. He posed with the guy in the soda and everything, for whoever brought it to him and everything. But he loved that movie. And he loved his fans. He loved everything wrestling.
I'm telling you, when I met him, everybody was getting like WWE figures signed and like buddies. And I just had the pair of like those black sunglasses, and I was like, hey, would you mind? And he was so thrilled to sign. And he just wrote on them, to Matt, They Live, Roddy Piper. It's great.
I think that was the same year he signed my WrestleMania box set. Was that Big Apple Con?
It was Big Apple Con,
right? Yeah, that was years ago.
That was years ago.
Wow.
He had just been diagnosed, or he had been diagnosed only a couple months before. Remember how sick he looked? Now, I have a question for you. In your years growing up as a wrestling fan, did you ever actually get to see him wrestle live in an event?
Here's the thing. I didn't get to see anything live wrestling as a kid because my dad hated wrestling.
Okay.
I ever tell you my WrestleMania 4 story?
No.
Okay. Everybody that's on hold here, Bruce, Jack, Dan, we want to get to your calls in just a second here about Roddy Piper. 866-969-1969 is the phone number if you want to come in and talk about Roddy Piper or anything else. WrestleMania 4. My sister won some raffle at the Catholic school that we were at on Long Island. And it included a whole weekend for a family of 4 in Atlantic City, staying at Trump Plaza.
Sure.
Right on the boardwalk and everything. Great. We go down there. Happens to be the same weekend WrestleMania 4 is there. Fantastic. I'm a little kid. I'm excited. This is awesome. We're on the boardwalk. There's shirts and banners and all this stuff all over the place. And I find out that at the desk, the wrestling was on, right? The wrestling stuff was all at the same hotel there. And they were like, do you want to go see the wrestling thing? And my dad said no.
Oh!
No, I wasn't at the desk when he was checking in. I found this out way after the fact, years later. So we go up to the room. You're in the room and everything and flipping through the TV. You'd think they'd have closed circuit for what's going on down at the at the plaza there. It's scrambled. When cable boxes used to be scrambled, you had the wavy line. It's the pre-show stuff for WrestleMania 4, and I'm freaking out because it's right downstairs. I can't go to it. Everything's going on. I can't even watch it in the room because it's scrambled. I'm begging to go. They won't go. They got me a T-shirt, which was a black T-shirt with gold printing, and it had the brackets because that was the year that the title was vacant, and every match led up to who was going to win the title at the end of the paper.
All right.
I begged to go. I drove him nuts. You know what happened? We packed up and left early because my dad was sick of it. And we went home. So, didn't see WrestleMania 4. I think it wasn't until I was in my 20s before I saw a live wrestling thing.
That's the saddest story
That
ever.
is pretty sad.
Is it sad that in my 20s I still wanted to go see a wrestling thing, or that I didn't get to see WrestleMania 4?
No, that you didn't get to see WrestleMania 4.
Yeah.
My parents didn't quite understand it either, and I was a big fan of certain groups and people and stuff like that. And I don't remember what year it was, but I had a friend whose dad had gotten tickets. It was at the Spectrum, and the main event was a lumberjack match.
Philly, right? Yeah.
It was a lumberjack match, and it was Piper versus, I think, Ravishing Rick Rude. I could be mistaken.
Okay.
At this point, so I actually
that's a great match.
I did get to see him wrestle in a lumberjack match. I was fortunate enough, and I was really close to the ring too. I was only maybe 4 or 5 rows back from the ring. They were great seats. So I guess I'm lucky. I got to meet him. I got to see him wrestle. It was I'm sorry.
Now that I'm thinking about this, there's been many WrestleMania pay-per-views and Survivor Series, which was on Thanksgiving night at the time, that I begged to watch in my house. I think up until 8th grade, and my dad wouldn't pay for the pay-per-view. Well, he would say, you have the money for it? How does a kid in 7th grade have $50-$60 to pay for a pay-per-view? No, I don't. Well, then you can't watch it.
I know in our later years, me and you actually saw like almost every single pay-per-view together. We used to go to Big Kev's house and watch them every month or every other month, whenever the hell it was.
Because he had that huge Kev had
TV.
that huge TV for such a small apartment. Yeah. It was like 60, 70 inch, mounted right on the wall.
And it was like 40 people in this apartment watching pay-per-view. I mean, half of us didn't even watch it. It was
cook,
to make fun of it.
Buffet and all the stuff.
Yeah,
it was great.
It was always a good time, but that was definitely in our later years. So
I know. You kids today.
Oh, you kids.
I had a few of the toys. But I think that was also because my dad didn't know my mom was getting me those toys. Like the old, what are they, JLB?
LJN.
LJN. I can never think of
were those the big rubber ones?
The big rubber ones that didn't pose, but if you swung around fast enough, you could knock a kid out with it.
You could kill a kid with those. I remember Big John Stud he had to weigh like 20 pounds of hard rubber.
Andre the Giant was the biggest one out of that. And that's the one, if you swung by his feet, you could knock any child out.
George the Animal Steel was pretty heavy too, I remember.
Yeah, I didn't have that
big
one.
Dude.
I had Iron Sheik. I had Macho Man. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I had a lot of them.
But you could hurt kids.
You could hurt each other.
And that's when they stopped making toys
then
to
they
hurt
made
kids.
The thumb wrestlers.
Yeah, you went from these big things to these tiny little, barely plastic. Your thumb's ripping through it as you're trying to wrestle war or whatever the thing is.
I had the Hulk and Nikolai Volkov thumb wrestler because I think they came in a 2-pack.
I hope you quickly threw them out and said, "This is unacceptable, Mom. Do it again." Let's go to Dan in Montreal. Dan.
Hey there, guys.
How are you, sir?
How's it going?
Nearly perfect, man. Nearly perfect. Listen, I got an interesting story. I was casted as a skateboarder criminal from the moon in the movie Sci-Fighters. I don't know if you know that movie.
Yeah, Matt was just talking. That was Matt's. Matt Ryan is in here from, I'm going to say from Ring of Honor. Let them come after me, Matt. From Ring of Honor. And he was talking about his big date night movie with his girlfriend early on was that particular film.
Yeah, we...
Yeah, that was a really awfully directed B movie. So what happened is we got there and it started to snow. So our scene where we were criminal skateboarders escaped from the moon, whatever, we were supposed to be just skating on this metal ramp, but it started to snow. It was so slippery, it was impossible to do. So Roddy Piper came up with this idea where we'd be a skate gang walking down the street and we'd fight them in the streets. Like, we instantly made that up on the spot. So, Roddy Piper told me, like, look, man, your friend's gonna hit me on the back of the neck with a skateboard. I'm gonna go down on all fours, and you kick the dog out of me. He said, you kick me right in the ribs, man, and like give it everything you got. I was like, fuck, I don't want to hurt you, dude. And he's like, no, go ahead, and I can take it. Look at me, I can take it. I was like, okay, sure. And I'm a skinny little guy. So my friend, we do this awkward scene. My friend literally hits him with a skateboard on the back, like pretty fucking hard. And I come running in and kick him in the ribs, and I sprained my ankle. my foot. It was like kicking a cow. He was so heavy and thick. And I underestimated it. I thought I was going to have fun with this. If I could hurt a pro wrestler, and he insisted. He was such a nice guy. I didn't want to hurt him, but he's like, do it, man. Just kick the dog out of me. I was like, all right, sure. And I limped off in that scene. You could sort of see me limp off. My ankle bent like 90 degrees the wrong way. Oh! It was great, and he was so nice about it. I was like off to the side, icing my ankle, and he's like petting the back of my head, like, "You're all right, son." I'm like, all right, I'll be fine.
Did he go, "You're all right, son"? You're like, "Yeah, thanks, Mr. Piper." And he just smacks you in the back of the head like your dad, and goes, "Pussy," and walks away.
No, he was more sweet about everything. Like my other friend, like hurt his thumb hitting him with a skateboard. I sprained my ankle. It was just a ridiculous scene, and he was just the nicest dude ever. I just heard right now on the radio that he passed away. That's sad. He's a good guy.
Yeah, dead at 61 from cardiac arrest.
Jeez, I guess, yeah, those guys really abused themselves back in the 80s, I guess.
Well, Dan, forever you have an amazing story and memory of interacting with Roddy Piper.
Yeah, I love the guy. He was really nice.
He was loved by all, sir. Thank you so much, Dan, for calling in. I do appreciate it.
You got it, guys.
Call back anytime, man. Let's go to Jack in Colorado. Jack.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, Jack. How are you?
I'm great, man. Hey, two things. First of all, Roddy Piper. You know, I love the movie They Live, and I never really thought about the guy, but, you know, and this ain't a plug for the guy, but he had an interview with Alex Jones. Anybody who's a fan of Roddy Piper, take the time to find that interview and listen to it. I mean, it just proves that he had more red, white, and blue in his blood, even though he was Canadian, than 90% of the guys out here. I mean, he's just a just a stand-up guy. And ever since that interview, I think about him a lot more than a guy probably should. But I mean, he's just a stand-up guy. On another note, hey, next time you have Brian Quinn in, would you not be such a guest hog, Eric, and actually take a phone call or two, man? There's people out here that love the guy,
Okay, well, look, that was all about me at the time. But I see what you're saying. Yes, next time, maybe he'll be coming in soon. I don't know. I know Brian Johnson's going to be coming back to the program.
Oh, very nice.
In a few weeks, which is great. We're going to talk about the new season coming for Comic Book Men.
Awesome.
And some of the other projects that he's working on. But we'll see if we can get Quinn back in as well. And if you call in, you tell the guy that I told you, put me on to talk to Quinn.
Yeah, how quick will I be hung up doing that shit?
No, I'll put you on.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Take it easy, man.
All right, take care, Jack. Yeah, we might need the help if we're doing mornings then. Yeah. Who knows? Let's go to Bruce in Louisiana. Bruce.
Eric, you put me through probably the worst roller coaster I've ever been on in my life. I'm at my shitty job. I haven't been on the internet all day because I'm a truck driver. Don't really get to look at it out here in the middle of nowhere. And I hear the fucking bagpipes come on. And the first thing that goes through my mind is, holy shit, fucking E-Rock is going to fucking interview Hot Rod. That's great. And then I'm thinking, holy shit, can I get fucking on the air, maybe say something to Hot Rod? It'd be a total Chris Farley moment, but I don't even give a fuck. And 2 seconds into your show, I could tell by the tone of your voice, oh, this is so fucked.
Yeah, well,
and I don't have a story like everybody else, except for that I fucking loved him. He was my favorite wrestler growing up. The fucking WWE cartoon show. He made it cool to like the fucking bad guy. Before him, you couldn't be cool and like the bad guy. And everybody knows They Live. Go check out Hell Comes to Frogtown. Might be the best fucking B movie. It's shitty. It is what it is. But it's my favorite Hot Rod movie. So I don't really have a story like everybody else.
No, that's fine. That's fine, dude. I mean, you don't have to have an interaction. Not everybody has met everybody. You know, if you were a fan of the guy, that's good enough. You obviously sound a little broken up about it. Do you have a particular moment that of a promo or something that he did that really stands out with you?
I just remember being a kid, and when the fucking bagpipes would come on, and he would come out, he would just talk shit, and then take an ass kicking almost everything. Never let him fucking really win. And when he did win, it was some bullshit, some fucking cheese, and you still loved it, but they would never really let him fucking get over, and he put so many fucking guys over that I don't want to say didn't deserve it because that's shitty too, but he deserved to get fucking put over, and I feel like he never really got put over till the later years when they started bringing him out on Raw and the leather jacket and all that, But when it was his fucking time in the 80s, he made it cool to fucking wear the Hot Rod shirt to school and like the fucking bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everybody did. If you didn't have a Hogan shirt, or a Macho Man shirt, and this was before the
Hot Rod shirt.
Right. If you didn't have a Hogan or a Macho Man shirt, and this was before Ultimate Warrior came on the scene, you had a Hot Rod shirt. It's just plain and simple.
Eric.
That's what you had. Matt, my buddy Matt Ryan here. No, he hung up. I was going to ask you what Bruce was just saying about never really getting the opportunity to get over, but he was there to put everybody else over. Is that true? Is that fair?
That's not necessarily fair. He was over. He did what he had to do. He sold tickets.
Right.
That's what matters. He came in, cut amazing promos, and I don't think there's three people who could out promo Roddy Piper. He's an unequivocal legend when it comes to talking, and just in a match, he was unsung in the way that he can generate heat in a match, beg off, find new and interesting ways just to get himself and other people over. When you're the heel, your job is to make the babyface look good. That's your job.
But I'm saying about not getting over in the sense of that they never gave him, like he had a run with the Intercontinental belt, but they never gave him the prestige of having the heavyweight championship.
Never needed it. He didn't need it. At the time, you you didn't need to put the belt on a guy like Piper because he can just get over on his own. Hogan needed the belt because you needed to solidify someone like that as your top guy. If you have someone like Roddy Piper, and you talk about Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, Jake the Snake Roberts, all of those guys were there, and if it was a different time and place, if we were speaking in 2015 terms, Piper would have had 3 runs with the belt already, but they would have eclipsed anything he could have done on the microphone. He needed to be the catalyst. He needed to be the thing that kept the machine going against Hogan. And then when he became a babyface, you can, extrapolate him into 17 other things. He didn't need the belt. The belt might have needed Piper at certain points,
right,
but he didn't need the belt.
Well, what about what Chad Duke said earlier about using the belt either as a reward for somebody's hard work or as a tool to get them over? What about just rewarding the guy for all his hard work?
He was at the right place at the wrong time. He was there when Hogan was there.
I kind of feel like he was rewarded, though. I think for the time of it, I think he was rewarded by all of the time that he had on the camera, on the mic. His reward, in a weird way, was just being in your face every week.
His reward was that he was able to walk away. In '87, when he retired for the first time, clear conscience, went to do movies, then came back as an announcer, and then was back in it. He did not need to come back, but he loved coming back.
Sure.
That's the thing. You talk about all these conventions and stuff, and all these wrestlers, and I've been a part of these, and I've seen it before, where wrestlers need to do it, but he didn't need to do it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think there were other rewards for him at the time that the belt maybe didn't make sense. Piper's Pit, that was a reward in and of itself, giving him his own segment and giving him that spotlight and that highlight. I mean, there weren't a lot of guys that had that kind of thing. And so that was how they showed their respect for the performer that he was.
Yeah, that's it.
We have a lot of calls here. We're going to take a few more and then we're going to have to move on because we have other stuff, which we haven't even talked about.
Yeah.
It's coming up on the show here for the next couple hours. But let's go to George in New York here. We're talking about the passing of Ric Flair at age 61.
You mean Roddy Piper?
Oh, my God. Wow. Why did I think Ric Flair?
I don't know, but if he dies tomorrow, it's on your head.
Then I have the touch, the power. I can see the future.
You're a soothsayer.
Sorry, the passing of Roddy Piper. Oh, my God. Oh, you know why? Because I just looked at his call. He was talking about Ric Flair.
Uh-huh.
That's where it happened. Dyslexia is kicking in. George in New York. George, how are you, man?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing, guys?
Doing all right.
All right, George.
All right. Yeah, what I was going to say is I found out about an hour or two ago from my brother that Roddy Piper had passed, and it's crazy because he is still relatively young, and one of my favorite memories about him was when they were doing this old man stint. Same thing with Hogan wrestling from time to time and Ric Flair. And I thought it was just absolutely absurd, but hilarious at the same time when they actually made the push to make him and Ric Flair tag team champions. And this was going back maybe about 5-7 years ago.
Yeah, we had Chad Dukes on the phone earlier. He was talking about that's like his favorite moment.
Yeah, no, it's just like, it was also, I honestly believe it was trying to pass a little homage to him, a little respect.
Yeah.
And, in terms of title contendership, he was always a mid-card level champion. And, there's a lot of guys who are wrestlers who've never got that heavyweight title push. Like, the only reason why a lot of people got the heavyweight title push that they did for a long time is given the fact that, they had 2 or in some cases 3 heavyweight titles with WWE. You had the World Heavyweight, you had the WWE title that was on Raw, the World Heavyweight was on
SmackDown for a while,
and then you had the ECW title for a little bit. Yeah, which meant nothing. But, I'll tell you one thing. That was the first time Mark Henry was happy. That was the first time he ever got acknowledged as a heavyweight champion, of course. He beat Randy Orton. But it's, I don't think, and I agree with you guys before, he didn't need that heavyweight title status because of the fact that he solidified his legacy as a mouthpiece. He didn't have to be the big push or sell the elaborate storyline. He was just a badass rogue, and it's something that's going to be missed. I think it's going to be a very long time for anybody to find that spark again.
Right.
But in the near future, you got some good talent now, and now this whole NXT thing, you're getting some interesting guys in there. But especially with the old school spark that we used to have, back in the 80s. Nobody really has that now. There's different charisma.
Well, a lot of them aren't around anymore, sir.
They kind of die off.
To be fair.
That or are dignified as racist,
All right. All right, George, thank you so much.
Guys, thanks a lot, and I'll call again at another time.
Please do, man.
Thank you, George.
Thank you for calling in here. It's Jay Folks on Twitter said, amazing line from Piper. They don't say blow your own horn. They say don't blow your own horn. Why not? Who knows the tune better? Wisdom from Roddy Piper.
There you go.
There's another good line there. Let's go to Mike in Buffalo. Mike, how are you?
All right, guys. Pretty sad day today. I have to say that the thing that made Roddy Piper, I think, one of the best, obviously wrestling personalities of all time is not just his mic work, but he could do WrestleMania 2, a boxing match with Mr. T, and it be legit. And then he could have a match like my favorite match of all time, WrestleMania 8 against Bret Hart. Not my favorite match of all time, one of my favorite of all time, for the Intercontinental belt. I mean, that match, it's only about 10, maybe 11 or 12 minutes long, but it's really good. And he could hold his own with a guy in the ring like Bret Hart, or like I was saying, a kind of a shitty boxing match against Mr. T, but it worked. He was able to do all the stuff in between. He was just unbelievable, and it really, really stinks that, he had to pass away at 61. Not that he was doing much anymore, as far as TV work is concerned, but just knowing that he was there. And his podcasts were pretty wacky, some of the stuff that he was coming out with lately, and I don't know. It really sucks that he died, and, hopefully one day we could get somebody even close to what Roddy Piper brought to the television.
That's a good question, Matt. Do you think anybody's up and coming that's even close to what the Piper did?
The closest was CM Punk. He was the only one that really walked that line and was able to get genuine, pure, old school reaction from the fans. And it was just, he was that last of the old school. There's not a lot of people like that nowadays. It's just the culture of the business has changed. The culture of, the way we take in media has changed. Everything's a little more on demand, a little more. Everybody wants to be inside the things. We just don't take in shows anymore. When you go to the movies, that's Paul Rudd. You don't believe it's Ant-Man. So it's hard. Everybody's more jaded now. So
nobody believes in Ant-Man. Just saying.
It was a lovely movie. Shut your hole.
Let's do one last call here, and then we're going to move on. We'll go to Chad in Virginia, has a Piper story. Chad.
Yeah, I think it was in 87 when he left. He came down with a group, I think it was Mountain Wrestling. It was an off-brand of the wrestling, they had like the Rock and Roll Express, Bushwhackers, Lex Luger, Junkyard Dog, some of the old school wrestlers, and Piper came with them. Well, they come to our little small town of 2,000. Only about 75 people showed up. I got there really early because they were going to sign autographs. And Piper was sitting at the table. I went and got in line immediately in his line. And they loaded up and left before I got up there to get my autograph. And I was heartbroken. So I didn't even get any autographs that day.
That's unusual because they'll usually, for the line, when you're going up to get photos and autographs, you're paying for those things. They'll usually stay till everybody's taken care of because that's money that's going in their pocket.
Oh, sure.
To have them get up and leave like that is a bit unusual.
Yeah, it was. I think the promoter. I don't even think Piper was supposed to be there, but I think he must have talked them into it. It may have been the time right before he got back into wrestling, so he hadn't got back into it. So he was maybe going to tune up Junkyard Dog a little bit or something to get back into shape or whatever. But they all immediately, I think they all rode a bus together there. They didn't even, to the show. So they all, I guess the promoter, the guy that was running it, he just loaded up. They hadn't even put the ring up yet because it was so early. So they all just got back in the bus and left.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but there's no way to, I don't know how to rectify that or fix that
There's
for
no
you.
fixing that one.
No, but if you really want something autographed, I mean, Go to some kind of reputable collector. Not like eBay, or Craigslist or anything like that.
More sad stories today.
I know. It's like, I didn't get my autograph. Well,
sorry.
It's harder now. It's going to be more expensive. But if you look at one of those things online or something, I don't even know if like Steiner Sports deals with wrestling, but something along that kind of line.
I'm sure there's
where they
some
can
sort of
guarantee
official,
that there's a photo of it. There's another thing, certificates of authenticity are garbage.
Sure.
Just because somebody says comes with the certificate of authenticity doesn't matter unless there's a major name behind it. It does not matter. So you just really got to do some good hunting if you want to try to find that. But anyway, rest in peace, Roddy Piper.
Yes.
Just passed away, age 61. Cardiac arrest shortly before we came on the air here. Look, this was what it was. For those who aren't wrestling fans and listening for something else, I do apologize, but concerning what happened today, it was just something that we had to do here.
Sure.
But we do have to move on. We have other stuff on the program. In a little bit, we're going to take a break. In a little bit, we're going to speak to Keith Davidson, the writer and director for the brand new Lego brickumentary movie that's coming out, which talks about the entire history of the Lego Corporation from where it started in Denmark to where it is now worldwide.
Really fascinating. It was really interesting.
So we'll talk to him in a little bit later in the program. Colin Jost from Saturday Night Live has a new movie, Staten Island Summer. Sorry. I apologize. Staten Island Summer. It's available on Netflix and on-demand stuff right now. It's also got a limited run in the theater. So if it's in a theater near you, go and actually spend the money and support it. If you can't, on-demand and Netflix and what have you are another way to do it. And then a little bit later, towards the end of the program, Abigail Spencer, who we were supposed to talk to last week, didn't have enough time. We'll see if we have enough time this week. I'm sure we're going to get to it. She has a show called Rectify on the Sundance Channel. She's also in season 2 of True Detective and Suits, Harry's girlfriend, Scotty.
Very nice.
All that is coming up. It's Erik Nagel on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Check all that stuff out. By the way, the YouTube getting some attention. The Doctor Who interviews are being picked up all over the place now.
Ooh,
a lot of articles coming out. Apparently, they said stuff that wasn't said in every other interview that they did at Comic-Con and other places, because they do limited press in the United States as far as BBC properties go.
They smelled the Whovian on you and they gave you a nugget.
I guess so. Or maybe they didn't, and that's why they were...
Maybe that's it, too.
Like, oh, he's not a fan, so we can tell him whatever, no one's going to care. And apparently everyone does.
There you go.
So I was happy to see all of that. Geek Stuff OG on Instagram and Twitter for Matt, and Lisa Correo on Twitter and Instagram. Check her out as well. We got to talk about your show that we're going to do next week.
Yeah.
So much to get to, a lot of material, probably not enough time.
Hashtag
as
4
always.
hours.
No, stop. No, we don't want that. Go to break. No. Welcome back to the program. It's Erik Nagel. That is me. 866-969-1969 is the phone number. Matt OG and Lisa Correo are here as well.
Hello.
Moving on with the program and with life and everything else to more happier things.
Yes.
We're going to talk to Keith Davidson. I think he's on the phone right there for the Lego brickumentary, which Matt and I got a chance to see this week, which was very good, very exciting. I enjoyed it a lot.
So did I. It was really fascinating.
Keith, are you there?
I am here.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Keith is the director, writer, pretty much the guy behind everything involving this documentary here.
Well, it's not just me. There's a bunch of us. There's another director. There's a fleet of producers.
But they're not here. It's just you. So we're just going to say it's all you.
But it's all me, yeah.
Yes, there you go. The brickumentary comes out, I think it's out today, 31st. Right, yes,
yeah,
it's out today. It's in theaters, it's on iTunes and on demand. Tell us a little bit about this brickumentary here.
Yeah, it's basically everywhere. Well, the brickumentary, as we're calling it, is really about the global sort of fascination with this Lego brick. It's a family film, a film that I think both 9-year-olds and 90-year-olds will enjoy. And the film really illuminates the incredible different uses of Lego, from architects designing sophisticated concepts using Lego bricks, to professors using Lego for complex mathematical systems, to minifigs launching into the galaxy on the wings of a spacecraft. We also really get into the whole phenomenon of adult fans of Lego who are building some amazing creations. So there's a lot in this film to enjoy.
Now, before you came on, Matt and I were just talking a little bit about it, and Matt was what you just said was fascinated by who actually in this world uses Lego when you're not a kid and using it as a toy to play with. The amount of people that use this for their work and in everyday life,
the practical applications that people have adopted the product to. It's really fascinating to see, like, the students at MIT do the traffic study and those sorts of things. That was kind of enlightening.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, the way we sort of tackled this film is really sort of throwing out the question of what is Lego. It's obviously a toy, but there's so many other interesting uses for the toy and really how the Lego is being integrated into society. So, for instance, we focus one story on an autistic boy who uses the Lego brick to help him concentrate. We talk about Lego and how it's used in engineering. I mean, it's really such a versatile tool that's not only used for creativity and play, but for art and for learning.
Yeah, the segment you guys kind of delved into Nathan Sawaya, and I actually had the chance to see the Art of the Brick exhibit earlier this year in Philadelphia, and the art that people create with it outside of just the play value. His exhibit was outstanding. Some of the things that he is able to do with bricks, just crazy.
Yeah, no, incredible work. I mean, we filmed at the opening of his exhibit and captured him in the studio, and I mean, he's created hundreds and hundreds of enormous, beautiful artistic creations. And what's been great to see too is that he's really introduced art to kids that really didn't really know so much what art is. So it's been very eye-opening to see that, and he's been very sort of passionate advocate for introducing art to really young people.
There was a thing we were saying, introducing art and stuff to kids, but there was one piece in the documentary where you were speaking to a doctor or a therapist where they were using Lego to help kids with autism.
Yeah, actually, his name was Dr. Legoff.
Thank you. I couldn't remember his name. But it was amazing to see that by doing it as a team, a 3-person team, and then rotating, where you couldn't help the other person do what their specific job was. You had to use your job to help build the project. And this seems to bring those kids around in a way that you normally couldn't do.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect example of one of the stories that we focus on. One thing I didn't know going into this is how Lego's now being used for kids that also have fine and gross motor skills, where actually the process of pressing the bricks into place develops their thumb muscles, which enables them to write better. But we really approach this project with a variety of different just amazing stories, and it has great animation, which is narrated by Jason Bateman. It's really a fun and informative film.
Yeah, you do cover everything. I mean, you covered the. Me and Eric are Lego fans,
right?
I don't know that we would be AFOLs, but
no.
I don't know that we're quite that far. But we definitely are Lego fans, adult fans of Lego.
There's a part that they explain. Not only does Lego have its own world, but it has its own terminology as well, and it's all built out of acronyms, which Matt just displayed there for adult fans of Legos.
Yeah, there's some great acronyms out there. There's obviously AFOLs, as you just mentioned, the adult fans of Lego. One of my favorites was non-Lego significant other. Saw quite a number of those at the conventions alongside their partners. There's poop, parts made out of other parts.
I don't want to give them all away, but I liked was it the 1x5, 5x1?
Yeah, the 1x5.
The 1x5, yeah.
You come to realize when you go to these conventions that there's all sorts of hidden code amongst the diehards. And I on numerous occasions heard someone yell out, does anyone have a 1x5? What the 1x5 is there is no 1x5 brick. So it's basically a guy code word for, hey, there's a nice looking girl in the convention. So all of a sudden you'll see dozens of heads sort of pop up from their Lego sets.
Well, the conventions themselves, where people figure out all this terminology and the hierarchy of where you are in the brick building community, but they have all these different brick cons, like Comic Cons or any kind of cons around the world. And it's interesting to see that it's an entire con based on building stuff with your product, that Lego's okay with that. You know what I'm saying? It's nice to see that they're encouraging creativity and people to do these things, where sometimes you may have a con made out of a particular product or for a movie or show or something, and then you get the parent company coming in saying you're not allowed to use this terminology, you're not allowed to use these logos, you're not allowed to use our product in this way.
Sure. I mean, a good example of that is, one of the more popular booths that I saw at the cons, I guess, was Brick Arms. Brick Arms is a company that makes weapons for minifigs that Lego does not want to make. So lots of machine guns and AK-47s, and it was actually one of probably the most popular booths in all of the conventions. But Lego, I think, realized that, hey, it's this is not just about us. People are going to build what they want to build, and instead of being litigious, let's open up the doors to creativity. And really experiencing these conventions was the most eye-opening thing, because here, it's a place where people flock to year after year, and I always looked at Lego as being sort of an isolated sort of thing that you just sort of do by yourself. But it's not uncommon to have adult fans of Legos all over the country building stuff throughout the year, and then all coming together to display one massive project. It was really great to see.
We're talking with Keith Davidson. He's a director and a writer for the Lego brickumentary that's out now, theaters and iTunes and on demand. The surprise that Lego found about adults liking their product just as much, if not more, than children like their product, seemed to be the real turning point for the company. Because as explained in the documentary there was a time where Lego was hitting a really dark point of their history, where it wasn't looking good for not only the products you were putting out, but for the long-term existence of the company.
Yeah, I mean, back in 2003, the company almost went out of business. The company was having a huge growth rate, particularly between 1978 and the mid 1990s. But then, sales of two out of three of their biggest products basically fell off a cliff. Basically, the problem was that they started losing track of their most valuable asset, which was the pure genius of the Lego system. They started building too many parts. There were 14,000 unique elements. And it was really, the sets were just not being complex enough. Some of these sets needed absolutely no construction. So it really was when they sort of switched gears and started letting the adult fans of Lego come in and make it better, mainly through the advent of Mindstorms, which was their robotics line. Hackers came in and made that program better, and it was the first sort of step in the company reinventing itself by letting the public come in and make the product better.
Yeah, it was interesting being one of those people who grew up into an adult and liked the product more as I got older than I did when I was younger, where the company was putting out a product. It's for kids, and you can only build it this way. Mm-hmm. And then the audience, the customer base for the company went, no, it's for adults, and we're building it this way. We don't care what your instructions say, and we're adding more stuff to this stuff. And then they turned around and went, you know what? They're right. We gotta follow what they're doing here.
Well, for me, one of the most fun things to do with Legos, I have a son. He's 4 years old, and he's really into Legos. And actually, earlier this year, we built the AT-AT together. Right? He got really into it. Once he figured out he could follow the instructions and do the pieces, he actually built a lot of the AT-AT by himself, which is impressive. But one of our favorite things to do is we go to the Lego store and we hit the brick wall. And we get the big tub and we just fill it up with all the loose bricks.
That's the best.
And then we just go home and build. And he has a big Lego table that we made for him with all the bases like sunk into it. And he could just build for hours and hours and hours. And he absolutely loves it, absolutely fascinated with it. So I hope that it just, for him, it just keeps going and going and going and gives me a good reason to play with Legos again myself. Not that I needed one, but it's nice to say that I have a kid and I can do it with now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of, a reason to do anything with Lego and being an adult, and Keith, I really think you guys showed this rather well when they did the celebrity segment in the documentary there, featuring the likes of Ed Sheeran, Trey Parker from South Park, guest of the show, Dwight Howard, is a big Lego fan. Something kind of hit home with me where the reason I got back into Legos, I think maybe 4 years ago, but building the big sets like the Simpsons house and Hogwarts from Harry Potter and the Millennium Falcon. The reason why I got back into it turned out to be the same reason that Trey Parker loved it, was that he found it very therapeutic. And I did as well, where it's like you lay it out on the table. There's instructions. There's a way to do it. You do it at your own pace, and it's calm. You're not surrounded by, as he said, his life is chaos. He's constantly being told, create something, tell us what to do. And now he can sit there at his own time and like, no, you tell me what to do and I'll just assemble it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was definitely conveyed by Trey Parker for sure. I mean, I expected when interviewing him for him to say, oh, I love to free build and all these, great ideas for South Park comes out of free building. But it was the complete opposite. He was saying, you know what, I am creative all day long, and sometimes all I want to do is sit back and follow the directions. And for him, it's just a form of relaxation. And for sure, I think it's, a lot of adults that ultimately pick up the box again feel that way. We're glued to the internet and TVs and just media all day long, and playing with Legos unleashes a tangible sort of physical need that I think all of us have to ultimately just sort of chill out, build something and relax. So it's those celebrities that you mentioned, Ed Sheeran, Trey Parker, Dwight Howard. I mean, these are all people that you wouldn't expect to play with Legos, but they're very passionate, and it shows that it's not just for kids. And what we hope to accomplish with this film is, hey, if you haven't picked up a set in 20 years, after you see the film, hopefully you'll be inspired to do so and maybe pick it up with your kid. It's a really bonding experience, and I definitely got a lot out of that with my own child, who's 7 years old. We played together largely out of a result of this film.
A couple other notes I want to bring up here with the Lego brickumentary. You should definitely go out and see it. It's out everywhere right now. With the free building, and we talked about free building, we talked about it being therapeutic, we talked about how companies use it to actually do their work, like NASA and a lot of architectural firms using it for their models and what have you. But there was also the artsy side to it that I wanted to get into, and one particular gentleman, he was a German artist named Jan Vormann. Mm-hmm. In the documentary there, where he was taking it in order to make the cities look better. He was filling in war-torn areas of Germany that were just never repaired or broken down because they were damaged buildings from the war or what have you. But he would fill in areas of these buildings and streets and what have you with Lego pieces to make it look colorful and look complete as a building. And then he started taking that around the world, going to different cities doing this.
Yeah, he called the system patchworks, which is exactly right. It's basically filling in, walls and buildings that may be in disrepair. And, what's cool about it is it's a very interactive process. It's not something that he was just doing by himself.
Yeah, he was encouraging he started it, and people would come over and look, and then he would encourage other people here. He had buckets of bricks and stuff. Take it, let's fill this in. And people are putting in their own combinations and stuff and filling in the buildings.
Exactly. I mean, it just goes to show you, too, that there's not a wrong or right in building. It's like, anyone could pick up and anyone could build. There's no good, there's no bad, although I guess there's some pieces that are just extraordinary. But what was really interesting too is he's inspired people all over the world, and there was this one group from Taiwan who sort of picked up from where he left off, and they started filling in the cracks of buildings to point out to the Taiwanese government, hey, these buildings are in disrepair, you need to fix this. And they've had some success with it.
That's crazy.
I know. I mean, I think it'd be kind of cool if you walked around and you saw like a hole in a wall filled in with Lego. I'm like,
sure.
Why is that
Or
filled
like
in with Lego?
pothole,
And then now I need to take a photo with it.
Right.
Another thing in the documentary, which I forgot all about this, but then realized I went and looked at it real quick, was here in Times Square, they debuted the world's largest X-Wing from Star Wars right here in Times Square. It's about 2 blocks from where we broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's one of my favorite parts of the film. We follow a story of the master builders in the Czech Republic that set out to make the biggest Lego creation ever made, and it's basically a full-size X-Wing fighter, an X-Wing fighter that you could sit in. So we documented them constructing this. There's millions of pieces, and then they had to break it up into a bunch of parts in order to ship it to Long Island, and then it was basically snuck into Times Square at midnight, kind of undercover, so no one would know what was going on, and then ultimately revealed. And it's just, it was an unbelievable sight to see this life-size X-Wing. Definitely a lot of fun.
The last part I want to get into with the documentary here, and this part I don't really want to discuss in depth. I rather just leave it and then let people go and see it for this particular part. We mentioned NASA earlier and their involvement with Lego, and they did something with a probe that they put out, a satellite, if you will, and I was amazed. I had not heard about this until I saw it in the movie here, but Lego made some pieces, specially made pieces for NASA, that this was infused with the satellite so that if it's ever picked up somewhere in the universe, there's representations of human life on this thing. And I was floored at how awesome they looked.
Yeah, I mean, we all know how popular Legos are, but who would have thought that there's Legos in outer space right now?
Right. They sent Voyager out with a record player and stuff in gold, and now the newest one goes out and it's Legos.
Right. So when the aliens basically capture it, everything is awesome song is playing in the background.
It's like, we must kill this planet, or we're not going to this planet, and they tell the rest of the universe, avoid these idiots.
Stay away.
The sequel to Pixels, it'll be us being attacked with Lego.
But this is awesome. It's not just a toy. It's used in everyday life. It's used in all kinds of ways for art, for therapy, for creativity. It's also now used as part of history to show the rest of the universe about mankind. And to quote Homer, is there anything that they can't do? So go out and see the Lego brickumentary. It's in theaters. It's on iTunes. It's on demand. Wherever you can get digital content, I'm sure it's there. We've been speaking with Keith Davidson, the writer and director of a Lego brickumentary. Is there anything else that we didn't get to here, Keith?
No, I think you did a great job covering it. It's a super fun movie and opens today and available everywhere. So it's a movie for the entire family, which it's rare that you come across a film that an entire family could see.
Well, go out and see it. I enjoyed it. I know Matt enjoyed it,
yeah.
And I believe no matter what age, whether you play with Legos or if you don't, I think if you sat down and watched it, it may turn your mind around a little bit. I'm like, maybe I should give this a shot.
It's really fascinating, some of the stuff they cover. So I mean, it's definitely worth the time to sit down and check it out. Thank you so much, Keith.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Thank you so much. Go out and see Lego brickumentary. You're gonna have a good time with it. It's not wasting your life at all.
It's an hour and 33 minutes, I think it is. And like I said, it's fascinating. They cover the history of the bricks as well as all the applications for it. And it's even if you've only played with Legos once in your lifetime, which, come on, who's played with them only once? I think you'd enjoy it.
I think that brickumentary, because I was stalling for a while, I think that brickumentary is giving me the shove to go out and get the Quickie Mart Simpson set.
There you go. Do it.
I saw it. It looked nice when it came out. I was like, yeah, I don't need it right now. And then I went to it again and go, I kind of want to get it now.
In my office at home, currently, I have an X-Wing, a snow speeder, and something else that needs to be built sitting in the box. And I think maybe this weekend, me and Thomas are going to have to bust out a new set and get cracking.
I'll say this, it's hard to do it in the summer because you just want to go outside or relax and whatever.
Not when it's 90 degrees and 125% humidity. I want to sit inside at a table in the air conditioning.
All right.
Playing with Lego sounds fantastic.
I found Lego to be more of an attraction for me in the winter when I wasn't going out of the house.
Good then, too.
Fireplace, big table. Nobody's bothering you. You're watching a movie or whatever. You're putting it together and living your existence that way.
Absolutely.
And the video games are very satisfying as well.
They are.
Yeah.
Lego Dimension is coming out in September.
Awesome. I know.
We had the interview on this show from San Diego Comic-Con, and it's also up on It's Erik Nagel on YouTube, so you can check it out there.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the Kuso program with him at all, but that's that was like the Portal, and the Ghostbusters got made through that, the Mars rover. That's kind of like the fan submitted. If it gets 10,000 votes or more, they'll consider it for production.
Right.
They cover that in the
Well, I was surprised when the Portal thing came out because I wasn't aware, and I'm like, okay, now I see where they're basing not just the Portal design, but where they're basing it for the video game.
Yeah, it looks great.
So a lot of great Lego stuff. It's not just for kids. Adults enjoy it as well. Don't be a stick in the mud. Go out and get a set today. And go out and check Brickumentary if you can. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Saturday Night Live's Colin Jost.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to introduce you here because we're so used to either hearing the Don Pardo or the Daryl Hammond doing Colin Jost like that.
I feel like you know what I realized the other day is that, because Don Pardo passed away, I might have been the last person, the last cast member that he announced. Like the last new, you know what I mean?
Right.
Which was such a trippy thing.
It's almost like
a crazy.
It's almost like Derek Jeter. You remember with the Yankees announcer who passed away?
Yeah.
I'm spacing on his name.
Yeah.
Was it Bob something? I forgot.
Shepard? Bob Shepard?
Something, maybe.
Right?
I don't know. Sports fans are just screaming at the radio right now.
I know, yeah.
But
they're really impressed with us.
He always kept that gentleman's announcement of him when he came up to bat. Throughout his entire career, even though everybody else had moved on with the current announcer, Jeter always used that one guy.
I was very lucky to tag along and go to his last game at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
And it was just like, you could not go out better as a dude. Like, he just, like a game-winning hit his last game at Yankee Stadium. It was just like perfect. You could not ask for a better. He's just he does things right in his life.
So when you get this job with Saturday Night Live, a lot of things go through your head. Like, oh my God, I'm working there. How am I going to do this? And you hear stories of cast members saying, oh my God, I don't know how to write a skit. And that's where they start honing their craft there. But when you start realizing as things are falling into place, this is your office and this is your stage cue and this is this. But then you get to that point where, oh my God, Don Pardo is going to say my name. Like, that's so iconic and there's a lot of Saturday Night Live cast members over the years, but considering the mass population of the world, it's a very small collective that get to have that honor, and you got to have it right before the end.
It's so awesome. It's so great. Like, you're running around so much in the week that you kind of don't even register it, and then you look up when you're there in the studio, and Don Pardo or Daryl says your name, and it's just like, you feel so lucky. You're like, oh my God, this is all I could want. It's the best. I don't know. It hits you every time you catch it because usually you're just scrambling around trying to figure out what the show is going to be.
Right.
And then you'll hear your name or look up and hear it, and it's still like surreal. It's still trippy.
Right. What I would do if I was in your spot and I had that opportunity, I would isolate that. And then I would send that to everybody I know and say, this is now my ringtone on your phone. So even your parents. So then when it's ringing, it just goes, Colin Jost. And they're like, oh, Colin's calling.
Oh, it's him.
That's the ultimate way to brag.
Yeah, exactly. People would love that.
I'm sure they would. And you'd see as the years go on, you have less and less friends.
Exactly. That's a great way to eliminate friends. One of my friends said that he saw a clip, like they'll have sometimes clips of our show on cabs. Mm-hmm. But then my friend said they had a clip of our show on his gas pump.
Yeah,
in
some
New
of them
Jersey.
do that. Yeah.
And he's like, I think I just saw you on my gas pump. He's like, this is like the apocalypse. What's happening here?
I am never sending you another Christmas card.
Exactly.
So you get the Saturday Night Live gig, and you're I don't know if you're the youngest, but are probably one of the youngest. Maybe you have the title of being the youngest writer for Saturday Night Live.
I don't. I'm sure there are people that are younger, but I feel like in the 70s and 80s, like everyone was just 10 years younger. There were just like 13-year-olds working there. You know, I mean, Eddie Murphy was probably 18.
It was a different
19.
time back then.
Yeah,
even though you look at them, you still think they're older. But then you're like, there's no way he was 25. I thought he was like at least 40. And it's like, no, he was 25.
No, he was like when he left.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and this guy, Mike Schur, who created Parks and Rec and worked on The Office for a long time, great writer and great SNL writer. I think he must have been, if not the same age, then probably, I would guess, like younger even than I was. So the people have been around that have been around in that age range.
How did you get the gig?
I kind of just, I wrote all through college. It's kind of what I did. I had a major, but I did not really do much with it. I just kind of wrote. And I was just around people that's what they wanted to do, was write comedy in some way. But I didn't really know that there were jobs. It was just what I really liked doing. So I did that all college. And then when I started, I was working at a newspaper. I was working like the overnight shift. I was working 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. at a newspaper, and commuting back to Staten Island. It was the Staten Island Advance. And I would just write sketches, write packets, like trying to apply to places. So I applied everywhere. I applied to Letterman because he was kind of my hero growing up. I applied
a lot
to
of people, yeah.
Conan. I forget if I applied even like to The Daily Show, but and then I wrote an SNL packet. And I wrote one like right when I graduated college. And I don't think anyone ever read it or saw it, or I never heard anything back. It was just like sending it into a vacuum.
Still have it?
I'm sure somewhere. I'm sure it's like just not even.
That's the thing you hold on to, where way down the line when your career is really taking off and your success, and you do the book reflecting your life. You go, you got to read this piece of shit that I wrote to try to get on Saturday Night Live.
Well, that's like even the one that no one even read.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that's just awful. Like It's not even formatted.
And
it's just like it just
when
garbage.
You're writing it. I mean, from what I understand, the whole process is that when you're writing it, you're not sure, and then you finally get an idea and you write it and you submit it because you know it's yours. It's something you created, and as you get more experience and time goes on, you start to realize how awful some of your earlier stuff was, and then you become completely embarrassed or maybe sometimes ashamed of it. You put it away, but then you come full circle going, oh no, I'm pretty proud of this because read how awful this is after you've had a really long successful career.
I think that's the nature of kind of anything, but especially writing. When you write something, it's weird if a year later you aren't ashamed.
Right.
It's probably it shows you're growing in a way, but it's devastating. When you look back on things you write, you're like, God, what was I thinking?
Well, how does that feel when you're at this level now, when you go, dude, you were nominated for an Emmy for that skit. No, look how horrible it was.
Oh, I feel it week to week. Like I'll rewatch a sketch from the week before and I'll be like, God, I wish this was better. I wish it was shorter. I wish that it had more I mean, you're constantly thinking about like critiquing the things you just did. And when I look back at sketches I got on like my first year at the show, I'm like, this is full garbage. Like how did this make it in? Why did I not make this better? You're just always looking back and with shame. And
your only solace is that you know for a fact that it's never going to be highlighted in a best of feature for Saturday Night Live.
That's the good escape. It's never going to be clipped into something.
This will never be put out on a DVD. Thank God.
And occasionally too, the nice thing about writing,
but then it shows up on Hulu. I forgot all about that.
You forgot
about
Hulu.
So it never fully goes away anymore.
No, I mean, nothing goes away. I don't know how anyone's going to run for president in like 20 years because everyone is going to have a dick pic. Everyone is going to have
Here's
a weird
my
video.
sex tape when I was 6.
Yeah, it's but I was 6.
Yeah, you get 6. It. I got it out of the way. My parents
were
really
for Jared
thinking.
From Subway, and then I just got it out of the. I don't know. It's just you always look back on that, but then there's also things you look back on at SNL. You get to write for, when you're a writer, you work with a cast.
Right.
So there are always things I look back on and the cast makes me laugh. Like they're just like, their performance will make me laugh. And I'm like, oh, I feel happy I got to write it for, with them or for, whatever. It's that makes you happy. the writing you look at and you're like, God, I wish that was funnier. But the performances, you're like, oh, it's cool. It's so cool I got to work with that person.
Do you ever, maybe it's a sense of modesty, but do you ever get embarrassed by the fact that sometimes you have some stuff from, for those who don't know, Colin does, he's the co-host of Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live with Michael Che, but on Monday morning is when a lot of the news shows and entertainment programs in the morning dissect Saturday Night Live, and they play highlight clips from the weekend. So when you see a joke that you did on Update showing up on CNBC, MSNBC, it's on the Good Morning America, the Today Show, stuff like that, and it's getting a good response, or it's getting a lot of attention for whatever the content is, do you ever look back and even though everyone's saying, oh, that was a brilliant line, do you sit there and go, oh my God, it's being played everywhere?
I mean, it's pretty cool. If anyone plays your joke anywhere, it's great. You feel really happy. But of course, you always look back. Certain ones, you're like, oh, that's the one they're playing. I wish they played a better, or whatever it is. But you're so excited. Like,
right.
If anyone cares to play something you did as a comic, you're just like, oh, this is great. And you just want people to. Anytime people are discussing anything you do, it feels like you feel fortunate because that's what you're looking for. That's why you're in this business.
Is it hard to get excited when you do see them highlight one of your things, going the other route, saying like, oh my God, they played that one, because then everyone's like, oh, he's bragging about his dumb joke. It's like, all right, congrats. We know you got it on there, but move on.
Yeah. I mean,
because it seems like you don't win either way. Either you're like, oh, that's the one they picked, like you said, or, oh my God, they picked, but I can't really tell everybody how happy I am that I picked because everyone's going to think I'm a dick.
Well, you kind of, I don't know. I feel always like, I'm never really that content about things that even go on the air. I'm always sort of like, I wish this was better. So when you hear things, I think you just always, again, it's that part of your brain. You're like, oh, I always want to make it better the next time. So you're always thinking ahead, like, let's make the next time better.
When you're in that moment, and, I can't imagine the pressure and I mean, you've been doing it for a while, but I can't imagine the pressure for when you're actually on live, because I know you guys do the whole dress rehearsal run through, which is the full show before the show. Then you're live and you're doing everything. So much stuff is done and said and changed at the last minute and rewritten. Do you ever have times where you look back at certain stuff and go, I don't even remember saying that or doing that?
Absolutely.
Or right after the show, it's like, I don't even know what happened.
Oh yeah, people will be like, what did you have, when you're a writer, they'll be like, what did you have in the show last week? What did you write? And you're like, God, I don't remember. I think I had, did I? You so quickly move on that you forget. And people are like, what are your favorite sketches you wrote this year? Or what are your favorite jokes on Weekend Update this year? And you're like, God, I wish I could remember them. I gotta go back to my
notebook and look and see.
Yeah, you just don't, you're like, oh, because it just always keeps changing. Like the next week is a whole new host, a whole new show. So you're constantly refreshing. It's like going back to check your browser history or something, but hopefully you've cleared it. You just don't have like full memories of everything. And then at the end of the year, sometimes I'll watch certain clips back just to learn from it, or sketches, look at what I did that year. And you're like, oh yeah, that one. Oh, that was okay. That was fun. This one was okay. You kind of go back and look at it at the end of the year, but when you're going through it, you kind of don't have time to stop and reflect on anything. You just have to keep moving.
What aren't you allowed to talk about? I mean, I can't imagine they would come down and say you can't discuss this, but are there certain perimeters or certain subjects that they want you to keep off of?
No. Lorne is seen it all, he was doing the show in the 70s, it's not, he's kind of seen everything, so he doesn't care at all about subject matter. The only thing, I think he just wants it to feel like it's smart. So if it's something that's just gratuitous about something,
and poor in taste,
like that's what he's more worried about, taste and like what your take is.
So it's quality, not the content.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Like there's no subject matter that's going to shock him or that he's going to feel like is crossing a line just on the subject matter. He just wants it to feel like it's coming from a smart place. If you're going to do it, if you're going to do a joke about Cosby, it better be a good joke, or else why do it? Like it has to advance the ideas that are out there now, and not just be like tacking on gratuitously,
So there's never any pressure, say, it's a huge corporation, NBC Universal, that we don't want you taking a shot at this because we're doing a special with that person this weekend, or
occasionally it'll be like, well, this is a sponsor of the show. Could you not make fun of this product or something?
That goes without saying, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess
they're kind of paying for this.
They're
you
kind of paying for your
might
job.
Not want to shit on them too much.
Yeah, but that's pretty rare. Lorne has some flexibility because he's kind of, he's earned it through the years. People trust him at NBC because he's not trying to do things that are like gratuitous or, slanderous, or, he's coming at it from a reasonable place. So they trust him enough to do that. But you get stuff. You get censor. There's really great censor notes every week that we get that are just like, could you? And they're always great because they give censor notes to the musical guests too,
right,
in addition to the sketches or weekend update jokes. And the censor notes for musical guests are always like, could you delete the 6 fucks and the 4 pussies? They're like, could you? They're like writing a note,
broadcast quality,
yeah, to like Kanye West, and I'm sure he's reading it and like, oh, thank you so much for explaining that to me. I'll definitely take that under advisement. Thanks for pointing that out.
It's almost like what Chris Rock wrote for CB4. Remember when they're going to go on stage and the governor issues this warning saying that you cannot perform. I don't know if the song was Sweat for My Balls or whatever the song is. If you sing this, you will be arrested immediately.
Right.
So they start a different song.
Yeah.
And then they kind of stop it. It's almost like Elvis Costello did on Saturday Night Live too.
Right.
And then they went stop. And then they went into the other song. Then the police rushed the stage.
Right.
They got arrested. And then in Elvis Costello's case with Saturday Night Live, he played the song Lorne didn't want him to play.
Right.
And then had a ban for the longest time. He wasn't allowed back on the show.
Is that right? I don't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he got banned.
He switched the song, without telling Lorne, because they originally wanted to play, I think it was Radio.
Yeah. Right. That's what they eventually ended up playing, right? It was Radio.
And they said, no, we want you to play the other one. They start it and he stops the whole thing live, and then they go into the other song. And then after that, he had a ban for a while that he wasn't allowed back on the show.
Right. Huh. Well, it's funny when people if occasionally someone will curse or something on air, that happens from time to time, or a host or a musical guest. And I feel like Lorne he's never upset. He's never like, oh, I can't believe they said fuck on the air. Like, he doesn't care at all. I think what he cares about is, does it feel like someone's doing it thinking it's shocking? Like, are they saying like, fuck, because they think people at home are going to be like, whoa, they did, like, he's seen so much. He's like, well, that's
if the
not
scenery
that
fell and the actor went, oh shit, like that, it's like, all right.
Oh yeah.
It came from a place of,
yeah. If it
legitimate.
feels like, hey, check this out, I can curse. It's like, well, yeah, you can. People curse all the time. It's not that people. I think he wants it to always feel like interesting, not just gratuitous.
I want to get into your movie, but one last question. You're the head writer, or one of them,
with Rob Klein and Brian Tucker.
And you guys took over, or pretty much not take over, it stepped up once Seth left to do late night. You kind of came into the fold for the head writer stuff, right?
I did it with him for, I guess, a couple years too. With
oh, so you were part of the head writer
with him when he was there. Yeah, he helped me a lot, and just like as a writer helped me develop a lot when I started.
I have to ask you this: with so much, everybody knows it's downtime for Saturday Night Live. You guys aren't back until September.
Yeah.
With so much going on right now, does it kill, especially being the writer, not the performer, but the writer, and doing Weekend Update?
Yeah.
Does it kill you right now with all the stuff's going on?
The update part of it is
every
rough
day
to not be there.
There's a brand new gem that would be perfect for you guys from Trump.
It's
Cosby, Judd Apatow constantly going after Cosby, other Cosby stuff coming on. Like, so much stuff just keeps building and building, and do you sit there and go, we're not on the air for another 2 months, and by the time you probably get to this, some of this stuff's going to be outdated.
Yeah, the good news is I think that Donald Trump will keep replenishing his talking points. I think he'll be around, and that'll be really fun. But yeah, it sucks to not be on the air and not be able to talk about some of these things. It's a good summer for news,
right?
But and it's why I'm excited about Trump being in there. I mean, not just as a comedy writer, which I am excited about Trump being, but Trump is, I think he's just getting to issues that no one wants to talk about, but people should be talking about. Like, when he's saying things that are inflammatory, it makes people like go do their research and see what's going on and have a fully formed opinion if they're gonna come back and be like, you're wrong. Like, it makes people I don't know, it makes people do work and care about politics, and that's important. I think that's good.
It's just funny that no matter how hard Daryl Hammond keeps trying to leave and retire and do his own thing, there's always something that keeps bringing him back in.
It's a full,
because he did Trump. He did an amazing Trump.
Back in. Oh, his Trump is fantastic.
So I don't know if he's going to be doing Trump when you come back,
I don't know
or if you've got somebody new on the staff that could do it. Or
I'm curious. I don't know that Lauren's made a decision about it yet, but yeah, I mean, his Trump is fantastic. He's a lot of his impressions are pretty great. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It's such an awesome character. Again, it's like no one else in the field. There's Hillary, and people know her, and Kate McKinnon, who plays her on our show, is great. And then all the Republican candidates, like no one knows who they are yet. They know who they are, but they don't have personalities yet, really.
Right.
And Trump is just a fully formed character, like right out of the gate. So it's so exciting.
You just mentioned Kate McKinnon. What do you think about the fact that most of Saturday Night Live is now the Ghostbusters?
Oh, it's so awesome. Thinking about them all filming in Boston makes me really happy. Like thinking about them all together. Like that. Were you
on board for a female Ghostbuster? I gotta imagine you were a fan of it as a kid.
Oh yeah, I think it's great because I think that way. It's also just seems new and different. You know, like I think it's cool because you're, I don't know. It's just like a whole. Why redo it exactly the same way? Like why not do it and make it feel like fresh in that way? I think it's great. And also those are like you couldn't right now. It's like those are four people you just want to all see performing.
Well, they're all funny people.
Yeah.
I mean, brilliant, funny people. I think they're just unfortunately, it's a great opportunity, but I think that unfortunately they were, as far as the court of public opinion goes, that they were put into a tough spot because one, it's a beloved franchise. Two, It's not Ghostbusters 3. It's not a continuation of in the future. Where I think if they were taking over as females. And so much time has passed where a lot of the guys have retired or whatever. I think at least online and fan stuff like that, people would be less critical of it, thinking that it was a continuation, not a reimagination of Ghostbusters, just putting, and because a lot of people think they're putting females in there just for the sake of putting females into
But that's
cast.
just crazy. I mean, that they're putting them in there specifically because they're great. They're really fun.
They're funny people.
You couldn't get a collection of four funnier people. Like who would you put in? Which guys would you make those four?
It's not like you're putting Anne Hathaway and Kristen Stewart as Ghostbusters. You're putting in legitimately funny people.
Basically the funniest people that are around that you can get, and of any gender. And I think it's like the court of public opinion is like a very short-lived court, and it's constantly changing its opinion. Nothing is locked in. Like you look at in advance, it's the hard thing about any kind of franchise when you're looking at it in advance, regardless of it. But like I remember early reviews or like snippets about things of like Avatar, where people were like, "It's going to be a bomb. I heard it's terrible. No, I heard it's going to be a huge failure." Like that was what I heard months before it. And then it comes out and it's just new and cool and refreshing. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it'll be this, I think like the people that are complaining in some, I don't even know, but if there are people complaining about it being.
Yeah, it's a lot of people just like, they don't like change.
Right, exactly. And then it happens and people love it. And you also like for everyone who's young, you have to remember there's people now who are like under the age of 20 who barely know Ghostbusters, who don't really know it. And so this will be their Ghostbusters. It won't be a new version of it. It will be their main Ghostbusters. They'll watch the other one and they'll be like, oh yeah, there was another version of Ghost. I mean, for us, it's like, yeah, of course we know the original by heart, every word, but you have to, and new generations have a whole new thing. And to me, it's just, it's kind of a no-brainer regardless. It's not really a gender thing. It's just these are four hilarious people and you want to see them together.
Well, let's talk about another no-brainer that will really fit for this generation, and that is your movie Staten Island Summer.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what this is about.
Thanks for mentioning it after Ghostbusters. I'm really excited about it. I'm really happy we got to do a movie at all. Like that's like a real treat, and to do it like you're like with friends from SNL, from other places, like it's cool. So
you had to get permission from Lauren to do this?
He produced it. So
no, I mean like, all right, I'm saying this wrong. You come up with the idea, and you want to write and do this. do you have to go to Lorne first and say, I'm looking to do this movie? Does he have a first right of refusal before you go and do something?
I honestly don't even know contractually how that works. I wanted to because, I wanted to work with him in any way. Like I wanted to do it with him because I trust him as a producer.
You obviously want him to do it, but
of course, yeah. So for me, it was just whether he would do it or not, rather than do I want to do it.
Imagine if he passed on it and you go, you made Coneheads and you won't make this.
Coneheads,
you don't have to defend
fantastic.
Coneheads
I just want to say Coneheads has a fantastic soundtrack that I listened to a ton as a kid. Got Red Hot Chili Peppers on there. Other ones I'm blanking on now. Great soundtrack. Really check it out.
Okay.
I don't know if people buy soundtracks anymore.
I don't. Well, they download the individual tracks off iTunes.
I remember that Red Hot Chili Peppers' "Soul to Squeeze" was on that song, and it had that awesome kind of
Red Hot Chili
carnival
Peppers was
train.
on a lot of Saturday Night Live based movies because they were also on the Wayne's World soundtrack.
Were they really?
Yeah.
What was the song?
It was an obscure one. I'm going to get the title wrong. It was Sika Mi Kaneko, I think it was the song.
Oh wow! That
and it was just one of the songs they played while they were driving in the Mirthmobile.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers came one of my first years. They came back and played SNL, and they played what did they play?
Was it Under the Bridge?
No, they played God, why am I blanking on the name of it now?
Oh, while you were at SNL.
But it is. They played an awesome one from from the early '90s.
Sex Magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the other big one?
There's Under the Bridge. There's
I'm just totally blanking on it. Not
Give It Away Now.
Maybe they played Give It Away. I think they played Give It Away. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was they played it because when they were first on SNL, I think something happened and they didn't play it when they were supposed to originally, when they did SNL in '92 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they came back and they played that one of my first years at SNL. It was the greatest just to be there and watch that. And you're like, this was the song I loved as a kid, and now I'm getting to see it live at SNL.
So tell us about the movie. That's where we're at. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Well, let's get off the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Staten Island Summer. So I went to Lorne and had an idea. It's about lifeguards. The idea is it's a group of lifeguards. It's their last week of summer before they go away to college. And so it's kind of, it's them saying goodbye to their friends, but it's also them trying to throw one last big party before they leave town. They're trying to throw their staff party. And I lifeguarded growing up on Staten Island. And as a lifeguard, that was the thing we looked forward to. It was the main reason we were lifeguards was for the staff party, because you were not getting paid well. You were not learning. There were no skills you were acquiring. You were you wanted to be there.
You're also responsible for people's deaths.
Yeah.
A lot of responsibility and no real benefit to it.
Exactly. Yeah. The best you can do is avoid a lawsuit.
Right.
I definitely did not save any lives. I probably negatively hurt lives, I would guess. Probably a kid got poor first aid because of me. He has a deeper scar in his leg because of me.
Poor kidney functions from chlorine poisoning.
Exactly. Yeah. Just spraying chlorine in kids' faces. I wanted to do something about lifeguards because I just thought I loved that world, and I hadn't seen a movie that was at a swim club.
And Baywatch doesn't do it justice.
Baywatch is a little bit more glorified.
It's a fabrication.
A little bit. You can't complain about Hasselhoff, but it's not exactly my experience.
The only other lifeguard movie I know, and I'm not even remembering the title, was Kristen Bell did one not too long ago. Remember? She was a lifeguard.
I haven't seen it.
It was kind of a depressing movie.
Really?
Yeah.
A depressing movie about a lifeguard?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the title.
I remember. I don't know if I guess he's not a lifeguard in it, but I remember the Flamingo Kid, the Matt Dillon movie.
Oh wow, yeah, right.
Which I really love, and I definitely watched that, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is cool. But I haven't seen lifeguard wise. There's not, but it's also at a swim club in particular. There's ocean lifeguard movies.
Yeah,
ocean lifeguards are cool and interesting, and pool lifeguards are
you're at a a country club or something like that.
It wasn't a country club. It was kind of a unique thing. It's a swim. It was just a pool that people in a community belonged to. So you would just go, and it was like families, and you'd hang out, and you'd be there all day. Swimming, playing every kind of sport, playing basketball. It was just a kind of an idyllic thing when you're a kid, because it's all you want is to have open space, your friends, and that's kind of the beauty of Staten Island that people don't know, is it's a great place to grow up. You have space, you have room, there's parks, there's not constant noise and city. It's horrible commutes, but again, as a kid, you're hopefully not commuting to work.
Yeah. How boring is it being a lifeguard if there's nobody at the pool?
Insanely boring.
Like, what do you
It
do?
drove me crazy.
Are you allowed to read?
I did. I read in the chair constantly. I would read. This is how much of a nerd I was. I was reading my economics textbook in advance for school in the lifeguard chair.
Oh, that is sad.
It's really, really, really,
That's
really
no
sad.
way to spend a summer.
No, as like good
Is that in the
tan
movie?
lifeguards were. Yes,
Is there a scene where you're
he's
doing that?
Yeah, a younger half version of me is reading a book in a lifeguard chair, but not. We didn't specify. He's reading like a Russian novel, which is perhaps even nerdier. I don't know. It's a real toss-up.
Oh, man. The movie comes out on Netflix July 30th.
Yeah, Netflix
right?
July 30th, and it's in theaters this week.
Now, it's a very limited run in the theater.
Yeah. Basically, Netflix, which is awesome, went to Paramount and got it, and is premiering it. But they also wanted to do some screenings in a publicity way,
right?
And showing it on the big theater too. So Netflix has been fantastic. And
well, this is airing throughout the United States and through Canada, so that's a lot of territory to cover. And I'm sure it's not in every single theater that's covering those territories.
No. But it's the nice thing also about eventually when it's on Netflix, it's everyone can see it,
can enjoy it, and it'll be right there on the front page with brand new. And
they're like so smart at Netflix. Their algorithms for everything, like it's so much more advanced than I even knew talking to them. And they're just smart. They're just smart about how they market things. They're smart about how they think visually about how people choose things. Like what images they click on.
Right.
It's really it's cool. It's very advanced thinking.
Anything else that we need to know about this movie?
The cast in it is pretty awesome. The cast in this movie, there's a bunch of SNL folks. Bobby Moynihan from our show, Cecily Strong, Kate McKinnon, Will Forte, Fred Armisen, Mike O'Brien, who does short films for us at SNL. And then outside of it, it's like a bunch of Jim Gaffigan, Kate Walsh, Gina Gershon, Method Man.
Is Jim Gaffigan in a bathing suit at the pool?
He's not. We did not get him in a bathing suit. We did not. Sorry.
With that whole, dad bod trend that's going on, seems that would have been the perfect scene for the movie.
We'll do reshoots.
Yeah, you go.
We'll do reshoots.
DVD extras. Go out and see, if it's in a theater near you, definitely go out and see Staten Island Summer. If it's not, Netflix on July 30th, you want to go and see this from Colin Jost. This is his first movie venture, hopefully one of many. Especially with Lauren producing
I would love it.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I just need a catchy recurring character in Saturday Night Live, and there's your second movie.
And then you go.
And maybe franchise.
Exactly.
There you go.
And I get just as long as I get toys and McDonald's at some point.
Oh, that is so,
you know what I mean?
All right. Usually I always talk about this with everybody, but thank you for bringing that up. Marketing and merchandising and all that. That's when you know when you made it, when you have your own toy.
Exactly.
That can sit on your desk.
Exactly. The Minions have made it.
They have made it.
At
They're very
McDonald's.
successful.
They have made it.
I'm running out of time with you, sir. The Colin Jost, Jost on Twitter, colinjost.com. We didn't get to talk to you about your epic fight with Time Warner Cable, but I fully support you on this. And I abandoned Cablevision many years ago. Now it's Optimum. But I went to Fios many years ago and couldn't have been happier.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
So next time you're around, I'd love to see. Well, follow them on Twitter because it's been pretty epic. Your rants against them.
Well, thank you. We'll talk more.
We will.
Thank you for having me, and please see.
No problem. Staten Island Summer.
I would love it.
It's in theaters and on July 30th on Netflix. If you can't go to the theater and see it, you'll catch it on Netflix right there and support Colin Jost.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're back. It's Erik Nagel, 866-969-1969 if you want to give us a call here on the program. It's Erik Nagel on Twitter is another way to get in touch with us and follow along, see what we're doing. Matt OG, Lisa Correo, and our buddy Matt Ryan are also here. All over the place today. A lot of good stuff. Sure. And trying to whittle it down to what else we still want to talk about since we have a bunch. But with Lisa and Matt here, I figured we'd go over and see some of their projects, see what they're doing. We'll start with Mr. Ryan.
Hello.
Hello. Besides Ring of Honor stuff and doing your wrestling, whatever, you also have a podcast venture going on.
Yeah, I do several podcasts. The most important one, because it's debuting actually tomorrow on the Hive Mind Radio Network based out of Jersey, is No Small Talk. Every week, we did 20 episodes in our first season, and they're really good. They get better as they go along.
I do have them on my phone here.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me show you.
Did you listen to any of them?
I listened to the early ones.
Hey,
right there.
You actually subscribed to it.
I did.
Look at that.
Yeah, you can subscribe to it on iTunes and Stitcher as well. It's all up there. But the show is a pretty interesting concept. It was came up by Stephanie, my girlfriend. We sit down. We have a microphone between the two of us. There's these questions by Chuck Klosterman, the author. These are hypothetical questions. And you...
Hypothetical?
Yes, hypothetical. It's a big word. It's hard for me to say. But... we sit down, we bullshit for a little while. Stephanie carries the conversations. I just kind of like keep pace because she's, smart, talented, honor student in college and in high school. I went to community college, so I'm just happy to, be
self-made man, pulling me up by my bootstraps.
Yes.
He's happy to be able to formulate sentences.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm in front of a microphone. I don't know how.
She's eloquently conveying her points, and he's doing caveman drawings.
No, but the conversations are pretty fun, and the questions are, it's not a simple yes or no. You really have to elucidate your point and really make people understand why this is what. Yes. Make people understand this is why. So if you have a movie, but it only can be a G-rated movie, but you have to include certain aspects of sex and violence, how do you do that? How do you pitch that? And there's a bunch of great questions there, but the best part of the show to me is just how we come up with our answers and how we basically try to figure out how does the world work? How does it make sense? Like, Steph told a story about going to a wedding with her best friend from high school. And you really can see how people at one part of your life are completely different than who they actually are in reality. You have this idea.
Facebook.
Yeah.
That's right.
Essentially, it breaks down why Facebook is really terrible and why people you once thought were great are actually pretty fucking awful. Like, if you have best friends at any point of your life, you're obviously going to diverge at one point. But at some point, you really remember that person in this great light. But once you see them in the flesh, all those memories rush back. And it's like, yeah, she was a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And a garbage human being. And that's the great part of the podcast, is just breaking down reality and life in general in these little hour increments and trying to figure out, all right, life sucks, life is shitty, but let's make fun of it for a little while and try to make these things listenable and understandable and making funny voices.
I suspect one day I'll look back on you, Matt, and think, wow, what a pompous asshole.
Everyone I've met has said that.
Do it now. Block him on Facebook.
Block me on Facebook.
I'm doing it as we speak.
Damn right. But the show is an hour every week. You can listen to it on iTunes and Stitcher, obviously. Click the subscribe button. But if you can't sleep or you're at work and bored, you can listen starting tomorrow every day at midnight to 1 a.m. and from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. on HiveMindRadio.com. And you can listen to me and Stephanie as well on Gotta Say It, which is a sports talk radio show every
You're all
Wednesday
over
night.
the place. Why don't you just have one central website that has all of these projects?
Well, most of them are on HiveMindRadio.com.
Okay, well, we get it. But I'm saying, as far as your thing, have a website for you two, specifically, so for all your projects and all your side projects and whatever, all in one website that will link to these other things. Makes it easier.
Yeah, well, we're going to work on that at some point, but, we're working with other people, and actually you can we have a web page for No Small Talk, but it's hard to, put everything in one website. It's expensive to maintain a website. I'm not good at the internet, so it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Okay.
But not
according to those fine sponsors that advertise on podcasts and radio shows like Squarespace.
That's right.
Or WordPress. Or what's the other one with the Win?
I don't know.
Win? That's
Wix.
another one? Wix, like that.
Yeah, those websites are fine, but to buy your own domain name, and then you've got to pay for server
Pretty
space.
cheap on GoDaddy.com.
Server space is the expensive one.
Yeah,
sort of expensive.
Amazon's got cheap and reliable server space.
Really?
Well, you're just a bucket of knowledge.
Yes, because I'm trying to get my website
I was going to
done.
say, this is clearly all being researched for.
I've been in
where
meetings.
the fuck is ErikNagel.com? The website you've been working on for 20 years.
ErikNagel.com exists. It's not taking you to my website, but it exists.
It's just parked somewhere.
I think it's taken to the Facebook page or something
It's
for
just
now.
a gif of him waving.
All right. It goes to Homer Simpson's world's greatest website. But there's ways around it, and I'm far from the guy who last time I built a web page was with Front Page from
fancy.
Windows 2000 or something like that.
You did the GeoCities back in the day, didn't you?
No, I had Tripod.
Oh, Tripod. GeoCities' big rival.
Right, until they automatically it wasn't even a banner ad, they would put page breaks.
Oh yeah,
at the bottom. So you'd have your website, and then there was a separate window on the bottom of your page that had their ads.
Oh yeah.
And then I said, this cannot continue to go on like this, and I parted ways.
Oh, very sad.
Was it amicable?
No, it was, I'm removing my credit card information and I'm not paying for this anymore. All right. So there you go. What was it?
HiveMindRadio.com. The show is no small talk. It's 20 episodes, 20 hours of really good, entertaining content. If you really want to hear how a couple really talks to each other, and just
my wife hates me.
Yes, my
Boss
wife.
and Bonnie.
Yes.
Tuesday night, 7 p.m.
Thank you.
And then if that once you're done with that, download Matt's podcast.
Exactly.
There you go. Lisa Correo.
Hey.
Lisa has been a regular with the show since its inception.
That's true.
Lisa is a stand-up comic. She is a not a child star, but she is a star from a children's show, and is now one of the spokespeople for Carnival Cruises, that weird flea market that's down in South Florida.
Festival Flea Market.
There you go. And now you have yet another venture.
Okay. I'm a stand-up comedian. You only had to say that. I do other stuff because I'm broke. I need money. So I live with one of my best buds in life, Wendy Starling, who's also a comedian. She's hilarious. We are opposite personalities. She's a crazy person. I'm like pretty straight-laced, and together it's like the Odd Couple. So we started doing a webcam show out of our apartment. It's not porn, and
then I'm not interested.
Okay, it's porn. It is porn. No, it's this is how I got the idea. I was actually doing interviews at the porn convention in Miami, and that footage has not been released yet. So that is because of Nickelodeon and, being spokesperson. You can't just put stuff out there like that. Not that it's that dirty. The funny thing about it is that I'm all awkward interviewing people like with their boobs out and stuff. So anyway, I'm interviewing the webcam girls, and they're all dressed and everything like that. It's in a convention center, but all their fans are like on and watching just like an interview that's like just us talking. Yeah. And they, we made it like a funny interview, and they loved it. I'm like, hey, I could do a show like this. And I don't have to show my boobs. So, Erik is going to be our guest on the next episode.
Yes. I was honestly surprised that she asked me because
she's getting desperate, Erik.
Yes, yeah.
It's only the third episode,
and they're ready to call it quits.
Jump in the shark.
That barrel.
No, because last week we I don't know if we talked about it on air or not, but we were talking about how Giddles is who's not here tonight, was coming on your show because he's going to do
next week too.
A cooking segment in her kitchen, and that made sense. Brian more than dabbles in the culinary arts; he's really very well into it. So he's going to go into her little apartment because she was explaining the kitchen size to him, and he was laughing because he's going to have all this stuff to cook, and there's going to be no space, and one of them's going to have to be in the living room while they're doing the segment.
We can use my bedroom too
for cooking. Sure, why not?
Sure.
A lot of flour and stuff just all in the air as he's making
he's not the Swedish chef, although that would be hilarious.
It would be if he just came in and started making a mess. That made sense. But when I come on, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Oh,
so
it's a
eat
mystery.
the food that Brian makes. That's what would be my guess.
Well, that's what the show is. It's basically you're hanging out with me and Wendy for
I'm not making
an hour.
2 stops. What?
And you're basically hanging out with me and Wendy for an hour. We'll talk with you a little bit on the couch, and then we'll go from room to room in the apartment and have different segments.
Okay.
So there you go.
This sounds like how a porn starts, but that's okay.
That's probably how it starts.
I'll see the video. Oh, the video's done, Chuck, and then you see Reality Kings. And it's like, what? God damn it!
If you walk in and there's any sort of handcuffs or whips, candles,
if all I keep seeing is one guy's hand and just a camera, and you never see the guy, it's like, this is a Bang Bros moment.
Well, our last episode, our guest was actually Aaliyah Janine, who was a porn star, and she's now a comedian.
I think I did Robert Kelly's You Know What Dude podcast with her.
Yes.
I think so.
So the conversation, especially with Wendy, kept getting really, really dirty, and then I kept trying to bring it back. I'm like, come on, guys, who wants cookies? So, that's kind of like...
They're talking about deep fisting, and she's walking in with a plate.
Truly. And
who wants fluffernutters?
So that's
Is that a sex move, a fluffernutter?
It's also a Simpsons reference.
Yeah, we've had musical guests, we've had a magician, we've had all kinds of weird things going on.
I just thought of the perfect guest for her show.
Who?
I'm going to see how my first appearance goes.
All right.
But the second appearance, I might bring, if there is a second appearance, I might bring a special guest.
Uh-oh.
There's
you know
definitely a second appearance. Look how many times I'm welcomed on your show. Are you kidding me? You can come on our big apartment show anytime.
I think I know what you're probably going to write down over there.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It's frightening when your brains work together.
Yes.
So what's super fun is you can watch the show live. There's a chat, so you can participate as well. And that's pretty much it. And it's free to watch right now. Eventually, I'm going to make it like a premium thing that will be like $5 a month to get like extra stuff. But you'll always be able to watch it for free.
The extra content, each $5, whatever. You should then have another package that's $10 where you put the camera on your windowsill and look into the other apartment building.
Oh.
There used to be in the early days of the internet, before voyeurism became a profitable possibility.
Sure.
There used to be a network called spy cams. Now, what it was that it wasn't as dirty as you thought. People would live all around the world, and they would turn on a webcam from their window, and you were looking out the apartment window of a guy in Sydney, and you see the Opera House, and then this guy was in Paris, and you'd see down some of the wine country and whatever. And so people were just putting on these webcams and letting people view the world from around the world.
That's awesome.
And then it turned into, as everything, porn. So what you can do is being in New York City, you can just focus on other buildings.
There's all kinds of crazy things happening outside at all times.
Right.
So there you go.
For sure.
I'm just telling you, that's the $10 package right there.
That's the bonus footage. That's what we're going to do for the premium features. We're going to have bonus times that we keep the cameras on. We have just one camera right now, so you're going to be on the third episode, but as we build it, we'll build, more features.
And then get rid of the earlier episode and say, that was practice run. Here's the good stuff.
I don't mind it being cheesy. It's still fun. We make it fun.
I'll pitch this guest then. I was going to keep it secret, but I think it'll be fun now. Matt and I have a friend named Ken who is a magician. He specializes in a lot of sleight of hand,
mentalism.
Mentalism.
He does the whole McGillicuddy.
Yeah, he's a one-man show. He just started fire eating. Was it right?
Fire spinning,
fire breathing, all this stuff.
I'm down with it.
It's ridiculous. And how funny would that be if he just started doing it in your apartment?
That would be great. And that'll be the same episode that I bring my fireman friend on.
There you go.
To do fire safety tips.
Fire Marshal Bill.
Oh, I would love to do that.
Okay.
What's the weirdest comment you've gotten on the show? Because if you have a live chat and if you put it up on YouTube or anything, you're going to get weird comments. What are they?
Well, it's not on YouTube publicly because it's only for members, and like I said, basic membership is free. It's easy. You just make a login and password, and there's like a CAPTCHA, whatever. But the comments have been mostly positive. Of course, there's always going to be creepy dude comments. Nothing too weird. The weirdest complaint though we had is that our kitchen looks like a prison. I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do about that. We're like, do we stop the sodomy in the corner? There's not anything. There's bars on my window. It looks like a prison. What can I tell you?
It happens.
It's New York.
So what's the website again?
OurBigApartmentShow.com.
And Lisa Correo on Twitter.
I do have a website. And snap!
Big timing me.
Burn.
Ow.
But my brother Mike Correo is an awesome, smart genius and put that all together for me. And he's learning how to do it as we go. So we're
Is he the voice in the one hand behind the camera in the Bang Bros? No? Okay.
No.
Then I was going to say, then of course he's going to be great at internet ventures and what have you there. So check out Matt's show, check out Matt and Stephanie's show, I apologize, and check out Lisa's show as well. Let's talk a little bit of what's going on entertainment-wise before we have to take a break and then get to Abigail Spencer.
Absolutely.
She's on the show Rectify, which is on the Sundance Channel. She's also in True Detective Season 2 and Suits, which is, of course, Roland's favorite show.
Like of all time, ever.
Pixels did not do well in the box office. Good. Really bad. I don't even have the this week's stats up because we were dealing with Roddy Piper.
$4. Made $4 this week.
Which, look, when we first found out about Pixels way back in the long ago, I thought it would be kind of cool because video games come to life.
I was intrigued.
Maybe it's like a real life Wreck-It Ralph kind of thing, right? And then as the story kept coming around, you're like, why is Kevin James in this?
Lisa actually saw it.
I did.
I'm sorry.
I saw it.
No,
I spent money to see
I want
it.
to see it. I know everyone says it's garbage, but I want to see this movie.
I'll see it on demand or Netflix or whatever when it comes out.
What did you think of the movie?
Okay, so I went with my buddy Mike Lawrence, also another comedian, and we went fully ready to hate on it, and we couldn't really hate it. Like, I'm not saying we loved it, but I think that it's like overly being hated right now on the internet. And it's a little bit unfair. I think it's perfectly it's an adorable movie. I wouldn't say I loved it. It's my favorite movie, but we couldn't make fun of it either.
Okay, so you have to know the audience that it's meant for. Is that it? Maybe.
I think so. It was fun, and if you have kids, it's a cool movie to take your kids to.
So there you go.
So why did it bomb then?
Because kids didn't go, adults did, and they hate on Adam Sandler.
Yeah, I think everyone's hating on Adam Sandler.
You think it's because
right now.
Adam Sandler, not because the movie was bad or poorly written or something like that? You think it was Adam Sandler?
Unfortunately, in 2015, I think Adam Sandler and bad movie kind of go hand in hand. This isn't the early days of Adam. This isn't Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison and even The Waterboy. Like this isn't that. I think in recent history, his movies have kind of jumped off a cliff a little.
Okay.
He's got a little stank on him right now, I think.
The marketing for it seemed really poor, too, because they just kept pushing the stars, and not really the narrative or why the video game characters were there. If they marketed the nostalgia, I think it might have worked a little more, or giving those characters a little bit more like, what is it? What the hell is this movie about, aside from video game characters coming to the universe trying to destroy it?
Yeah, it looked kind of goofy, and I wanted to see it I want to see it on the goof factor, like Peter Dinklage in a mullet, driving like a Mario Kart or whatever it is he's driving. Like, it looks ridiculous, and on that level, I want to see it. I'm just not going to spend $12 to go to AMC to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm going to spend the $12, but when it comes up on iTunes or something like that,
that's what I mean. I'll check it out on Netflix when it comes out, or Prime, or whatever.
Speaking of Netflix, a lot of news with Netflix this week.
Indeed.
One, it came out at the Television Critics Association.
Yes.
I think that was the event. That Netflix announced that they're spending $5 billion on content in the next year.
Good for them.
Because they're really out to destroy network television, and they're doing it.
Good for them.
Amazon Prime, even though Hulu is backed by the networks, they've gotten they have a lot of original content that has been on there and is still coming. These streaming services have figured out that they can work these deals with the production houses, not with the networks, to get this kind of content and say, okay, what's your idea? Well, this is the show. This is what we're looking to do. Okay, we will buy 13 episodes, which is now the new norm for a season. It used to be 22 for broadcast standards, but now it's 13.
It should
somewhere
be 13.
around there, right?
The problem with American television is that we have 23 episode seasons.
Yes and no. Depends on the show. I'm going to say it depends on the show.
Yes.
More so what you're saying, but not every show is like that. Sometimes the 22 episode season is justified and is good. So they're spending $5 billion, and they said, okay, we're going to take your product. They let the production people go out, do what you got to do. Here's the money. Bring me the finished product. They bring it in. They approve it. They throw it all up there at once. Now, I'm starting to see the value of week-by-week release instead of everything all at once. Because when you watch everything, and if you're one of these guys that has 13 hours to kill on a weekend and can watch every episode, and then they complain, I got to wait till next year for the next season. It just came out, and not everybody has that kind of time to binge watch. But when you do, and watch a lot of these shows on a binge watch thing, you don't have there's no specialty to it.
I honestly think in binge watching, and I know this is a little off topic, but I think when it comes to binge watching, anything over 3, and I even think 3 is pushing it, I think you start to lose something. After 2 episodes, I think that you're no longer actually watching the show to watch the show. You start to lose focus. You no longer pick up on details. It becomes really hard to maintain. And I'm talking like back to back to back. I'm not talking about like 13 episodes over the course of a weekend, and that's a binge watch. You might be able to pull that off, although that's going to be really fucking hard. But like if you're watching 10 episodes back to back, by the 3rd episode, you're not really watching it. You're going to have to go back and watch it again. So Netflix, although it worked with Daredevil for whatever reason, but I took a week to watch Daredevil.
Right. But you watched it at your own pace.
At my own pace, correct.
What I'm thinking is I'm starting to see some of the value, because I've seen they've tested with every combination now, where Netflix put everything out all at once. NBC put it out on demand all at once while broadcasting it week by week.
Right.
And then there's other people now, and Netflix did it with the Jeanette McCurdy show. We just had her on. Between I
don't remember what it was called.
Her show, I apologize, but her show was because it was still airing on the Space Network in Canada, that they were releasing it one episode at a time in the United States on Netflix. So you were watching it as week by week cinematic episode. So I see the value in all of this stuff. I think maybe the binging should be for past seasons to catch up, and the current stuff going week by week, because I think it gives a little more specialty and specialness to it, and you have something to look forward to.
I gotta be honest with you, even if Netflix did an episode a day, I think that would be okay. It's just I just honestly don't think you can binge watch more than a handful of episodes and actually enjoy the product that you're trying to digest. It's just you can't do it.
I think you can if you're trying to catch up. Like I said, if it's past seasons to catch up to where the show currently is.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're doing that to catch up, then read the Wikipedia page. I mean, if you really want to watch a show and appreciate it.
Yeah, but not everyone's like that.
I know, but
with people binge watching it, I think it's more of just like a badge of honor. Just like, oh, I got through the season in a day. It's more of
and those are the people that they're not really catering
right, but
to.
then you're like, okay, so what did you think of this part? And they're like, oh, I don't remember that part. I think I was asleep.
Yeah,
so you didn't watch it then.
Me and Steph are going through Doctor Who right now on Netflix, and we're trying to watch as many episodes as we can.
Sure.
But there's a certain point, it's like, I got to take a break.
Yeah, stop.
I need to go to bed. I want to watch this episode. I don't want to fall asleep.
Yeah, it doesn't. I think what you're saying, it doesn't sink in. You don't feel it, understand what you're watching.
And there are certain shows that I watch that after a couple of episodes, I actually start to get angry at the show. Like my emotions don't have enough time to cool down when something really intense happens on the show. And when I go right into it again and right into it again, I don't have time to come
it doesn't
off
have an
that
impact.
high. Yeah. I can't do it for more than a couple episodes.
Well,
but we got off target. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I apologize.
No, that was just a personal thing that I've been thinking about. I think the newer stuff going day by day, fine. Week by week, okay.
Sure.
For the newer stuff, the older stuff, put it all up and let people binge to catch up. That seems to be a formula that works and that people can appreciate.
Sure.
So they spent $5 billion, or they're spending $5 billion to get all this content because they want to knock out broadcast television. Yep. And it turns out they're spending more than the FX network, HBO, and AMC combined.
Wow. But listen to some of the things that they have going on. So regarding the Marvel franchises, you're going to get a new season of one of their shows every 6 months, right? Which is huge. Every 6 months you'll get a new season, so that's awesome. And then today,
hold on, it doesn't mean that if you're watching the Jessica Jones show that's coming out, it doesn't mean in 6 months you get brand new Jessica Jones. It means you get another Marvel property in 6 months.
Correct. So it's going to be Jessica Jones, then 6 months after that it's going to be Daredevil season 2, then 6 months after that it'll be Iron Fist, and then Jessica Jones, and then Defenders, et cetera, roll out. And then I guess it was today, or actually I think it was yesterday, or actually it might have even been the day before that. But anyway, sometime this week, Netflix also sort of announced, although it hasn't been confirmed yet, I think they're saving it for D23, that they're going to be producing 3 Star Wars shows, live-action Star Wars shows, over the course of the next handful of years. So that's huge.
It's never been, look, I like Star Wars. I can't honestly say I am a big fan of Star Wars. I like watching them, but I don't know enough about it. And for those who are Star Wars fans, and there's a lot of them, it's never been a better time because your movie franchise, I'm saying this now because we haven't seen it in December, but so far your movie franchise is in good hands.
Yes.
Your product lines are in good hands. Yep. And now doing a television spinoff with Marvel and Disney behind everything seems to be in good hands with the track record of everything going on. So no complaints.
Yeah, no.
Everyone should be happy.
And you have a huge universe of characters that you never have to touch on anything you've ever seen before if you don't want to. Or you could, focus on individual characters or stuff like that. But it's just a whole universe that George Lucas was able to create, and you could explore it in these television shows. It's great, I think, for Marvel, Disney. It's great for Netflix. I mean, it's a guaranteed success. There's no way people aren't going to watch it.
We got to take a break and get to Abigail Spencer. But one last thing before we go. There's a show that I just found out about, and I think I might become obsessed with this show here if I can find where the correct title is of it. Of course, why don't I have it here? Maybe it's in my photos. Hold on one second. I do apologize being on the radio and doing this. Here it is. It's called Blunt Talk.
Oh, okay. Yes, Patrick Stewart.
Starting on Stars August 22nd at 9 p.m. It says America's most trusted newsman, and then it says maybe. And he's on top of a car. Police are blocking it. All these paparazzi trying to take his photo. People are trying to get at him and attack him. So I don't know much about this other than Patrick Stewart's in it, and I love everything Patrick Stewart is in.
Absolutely.
I've actually seen the trailer for it. It looks pretty good. It's Seth MacFarlane, I think, is an executive producer of it. The trailer looks really good. It's really interesting. If you find it on Facebook, I think it's like a minute long. It looks like something you'd watch.
At some point, Patrick Stewart decided it was really cool to kind of just be funny and make fun of himself. And whenever that point was, it was fantastic for fans of comedy, because he's really funny, and he's got a great delivery. He's got great comic timing, and all of these new things that he's doing, whether it be commercials and spots or American Dad or all that, he's really good. I love seeing him or hearing him.
It started in '94 when he did that episode of SNL in the cold open. They did that thing about Michael Jackson. It was just a really good unheralded episode.
There you go. There you go.
All right, we got to take a break. We're going to come back with Abigail Spencer from the show Rectify on the Sundance Channel. She's also in True Detective Season 2 and Suits and whatever else we can squeeze in these remaining minutes here. We'll be right back.
Are you wearing a Fitbit?
I am.
Yeah, buddy.
We'll get into that on the
Okay.
I'm like, well, we might as well just start it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Abigail Spencer. And she noticed that I'm wearing a Fitbit.
Yes, you are. It's so funny. It didn't go, the band didn't go with my outfit, but look what I put in I just took the chip out and I put it in my purse.
That's the original Fitbit.
Yeah, this is the Flex.
This is
which
the
that?
new HR one.
Do you like it?
I'm learning to love it.
Is it new on your body?
It's fairly new. I've been wearing it for about a little over a week now.
Oh, how's it going?
So far, excuse me. So far, so good. It syncs to the phone.
Yeah, it's super easy.
I don't know if it's 100% accurate.
It's pretty accurate.
I keep saying that I sleep way less than I'm actually sleeping.
Interesting.
So, like, it'll say, "Oh, you only slept 2 hours and something last night." I'm like, "That's
You're like, I was in
bullshit.
bed for 10 hours."
Exactly. But also, too, if you can see under it,
it's
got a light that pulses under here.
Oh,
that's how it reads. I guess what is the term? Your biorhythms and all that stuff.
Oh, so that one's way fancier than mine.
It does that's the battery, but it does your steps. It does your heart rate. It tells you the distance that you've actually walked.
Oh, wow. That's way more. Yeah.
And I don't know what that last feature is.
I just track my steps.
And it tells you how many stairs that you walked up.
Oh, it does the stairs too?
Yeah.
Wow, that's like super fancy.
It was $100+ worth of nothing,
information.
I guess. Yeah. But why do you need it? I mean, I'm a fat mess, but why are you wearing it?
Okay, one, you are not, but I use it to stay in shape. Totally. Okay. I mean, I just try and hit my steps every day, and that's kind of my main cardio.
It's safe to say, and I'm not just glaring at your body here. It's safe to say that
Thank you
you're
for
beyond getting in shape. You're not even maintaining. You're just light maintenance.
Light maintenance. Thank you for that.
You need a little bit of protein and maybe something that'll give you some energy so that you don't collapse during the day while you're doing that.
I got my coffee and then a little rosé at the end of the day.
I was talking about maybe you have a piece of chicken and wine is always good.
Yeah.
But I was talking about like a piece of chicken or steak or something like that. Then maybe somewhere down the line you have like a peanut butter granola bar or something on set. That's about as much as somebody in your frame needs.
I have been eating so much. I went to France recently, and I ate more than I thought was humanly possible. Someone asked me, they're like, "Do you have a tapeworm?"
You can't not eat a lot when you're in France, especially because they're known for their pastries and their desserts.
The croissants and it was everything because I'd never been.
You said it like the French do.
I'm trying. I'm being like
don't
super.
Try. You're in America.
Trying. I'm super trying, but I was there, so I feel like I have to or something. But I'd always dreamed of going to France, and I'd never been before, so I just went on a 10-day trip.
Exciting.
It was really exciting.
How long did you go for?
I was there for a little over 10 days. Started in Monte Carlo. There was a big international television festival there.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what you went for.
Yeah. So we went. That was
so
the
excuse. So it was kind of work, not really a full vacation, but you got a vacation out of a work trip.
Aiden Young, who plays Daniel on the show I'm on, Rectify, he and I went there together.
Which, by the way, we haven't plugged yet. Rectify Season 3, Thursdays, 10 p.m. on Sundance TV.
There it is. So we were in Monte Carlo promoting the show and doing international press there, and then we met back up in Paris and had like an Abby and Aiden take Paris, by storm. But it was, part work and part adventure, and
it was just amazing. It really blew me away how beautiful that city is.
So let me ask then, if you're trying all this great food and these desserts and whatnot, do you get to, is it part of your per diem, or do you get to write it off as an expense to the business, to the Sundance Channel? Because otherwise you should be living it up with cakes.
I wish.
How much wine do these people drink?
I know. No, I mean, it was a business trip, so it got to be a business trip, which is nice, but not all of it was business.
Is the gentleman that's here with you, is he the one that would lay the card down for everything?
No, I wish he came with me and laid that card down for everything.
It's like, I hate taking her out to dinner because conveniently she always has to go to the bathroom when the check comes.
Yeah.
And I'm
so
stuck
weird.
paying for everything.
It's so weird. Oh, you got this right.
Yeah. Where else are they going to send you now with the success of this show? And now you're in season 3.
Yeah, season 3.
Where do they shoot the show?
We shoot in a really small town in Griffin, Georgia.
Okay.
It's
you
about
never
an hour
know
south
anymore
of Atlanta.
because it doesn't matter where a show is set. 9 out of 10 times it's never in that area where they're shooting.
It's true. Like I also work on Suits, and that takes place in New York on the show, but they shoot that in Toronto, and it's a really, really good match. But
in fact, there's a girl that works here.
Oh.
Her brother is one of the writers and maybe executive producers.
Oh, really?
For the show. Yeah.
Do you know his name?
I got to find out his name.
Yeah, we got to
But
meet.
also our talent booker, Roland, who should be coming around any minute now. Massive Suits fan.
Oh, great.
In fact, he wins all those Twitter contests.
No way.
That they put out on
Really?
USA. Because he's like the first to respond and constantly hounds them. And then they're sending him Team Harvey stuff,
No.
T-shirts, and
Get lit up. You know,
oh
the
my
Lewis
God,
Light,
all this nonsense.
You got lit up.
Yeah, all this nonsense that all of a sudden these boxes just come and it's just tons of suit stuff and
So many suits. He gets so
nobody
many suits.
on our staff has watched the show except for Roland, and he's obsessed with it.
It's, you know what? It is such a great, I remember when, Aaron Korsh, the creator of the show, asked me to do the show before.
I'm going to find out his name while you're saying that.
Find out his name. So they had this new character, Scotty, and Aaron was a fan of mine from Mad Men. And and this was also like early on before people really had seen my work. And he was a really big fan of Mad Men early on too. So they called and offered me this part of Scotty. And, it was really just supposed to be one episode in season 1. And I remember, cause I wasn't sure if I could do it or not. And the casting director, Bonnie, is so great. She sent me the pilot. She's like, just watch it and just see if you, and I remember seeing the pilot. I'm like, this is a hit. Like, it was so beautifully shot. It was sexy, but really it was about something. The actors were so good. It was just like a great, sexy, intelligent lawyer show. And, at the right time. And I was like, this is going to be great. And Gabriel Macht, who plays Harvey, who's amazing. I was just like, this is your this is your Don Draper role. Like, it really is. He's fantastic.
I'm going to get into that in a moment too. So far you've touched on 3 major projects in this interview,
You're welcome.
which is great. Less for me to do. This, I don't know if I should give his name out, but that's his name.
Oh my gosh, I love him.
Yes, his sister works here.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to.
She constantly takes photos whenever she's up in Toronto of her on the set, like
oh my
the courtroom
gosh.
scenes
No, he's
and all
amazing.
that stuff,
I know him
and it
well.
drives Roland nuts.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
I know him well.
Okay.
He's a great,
We'll
he's a great
just say
writer.
his name's Rick. I won't give his last
Rick.
name out, but
Rick is great.
and
he's a great
here she's
writer.
writing. She goes.
Oh, she's writing.
She wrote, Scotty. She knows my brother well.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I just said.
Small world.
It all worked out.
Right. And I'm trying to get Roland to come down here.
Fact checking. Well.
So Suits, I know it's not one of, here's the thing with USA shows.
Okay.
For a lot of people who don't watch the USA Network, and I'm sorry for Sundance, but I just want to cover this real quick. A lot of people see these shows and they're quality shows, but people have a hard time trying to remember to watch these shows unless they set it on the DVR. But for me, I always saw these USA shows because they would air after Monday Night Raw. So they would rotate constantly between like Burn Notice and Royal Pains and
White
Suits
Collar,
and White Collar, all that stuff. So that's how I knew about these shows. But Roland is anything USA puts their stamp on, Roland's all about it.
Yeah, they have great diehard fans.
Right.
And, just to kind of broaden the subject matter of what is going on in television right now is, everyone's finding their niche and their brand, and cable television is the rise of cable television. And that's why I chose
it is the second golden age of television.
The second
right.
golden age. And hopefully this one will last a while. I think it will, because this is where great adult storytelling is happening where it is also supported financially, and that creative visionaries with a single vision can be supported. And that is why I chose Rectify, and that's why I wanted to work with Sundance TV, is because I knew because of my experience on Mad Men over at AMC that it was possible. I mean, it was possible to tell great stories that adults would watch and have layered, complex characters that would go on, and it would be supported by sophisticated marketing. I just knew that was the possibility with Sundance, and I'm really glad that it's all, kept going in that direction.
When we were talking about the golden age, have you seen that quote from Dustin Hoffman about television right now?
No,
He said, there's never been a better time, and I'm paraphrasing because this is not exact, but he said, it's never been a better time to be in television, but to be in movies, it's the worst period in 50 years.
I understand. I understand
too, because shows like Rectify, Mad Men, things like that, Breaking Bad, they're all shot as movies.
Yeah.
They're not cutting corners as far as when they used to with video, reusing tapes, things like that.
Did you see the pilot to Better Call Saul?
I saw the whole season. It was
my
amazing.
gosh!
Right, and they shot 2 seasons back to back, and they're shooting the 3rd season right now, and the 2nd season hasn't even aired yet. So they're a full season ahead of before anything that's airing.
I mean, Vince Gilligan is an amazing creator.
Right, they're shooting as movie schedules.
Yeah,
and even with the way Rectify is shot, you watch it, you get that little, I guess it's like a matted, almost a grittiness kind of feel to shows like that. AMC has it, all these other shows where you're watching, it feels like a movie.
Totally.
But it's a television show.
Yeah, it's independent film on television, and that's what Ray McKinnon, the creator, set out to do. I mean, he's an independent film maker. He won an Oscar 12 years ago for an independent short feature that he made, and that is who he is as a storyteller, and that's why I've been fortunately working on television more. I mean, that's where the great, complex, female empowered characters are right now. Not that, I mean, I'm doing movies too, which is great, but I'm not getting the capacity to tell stories like this right now in film. Not that it's not possible. It's just, like Dustin said, it's a season. I
don't want to say it's easier, because a lot of these shows, the quality and the writing, everything, it's not easy. But
no, and you have less money and you have less time.
Right.
I mean, we shoot Rectify in 7 days each episode.
Wow. So you're shooting like a sitcom.
Like a half-hour single camera. I think they shoot 5 to 7 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and for people who don't know the show, it is nothing like a sitcom. But from what you're just saying, the scheduling and everything, you're on that sitcom clock where a new one each week, cranking it out.
Yeah, and we usually have a different director that comes alongside with Ray and directs the show. And
does each episode have its own different director? Or?
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works in television usually. That's why the first season of True Detective was so different, because Cary Fukunaga directed all of the episodes, which is pretty rare, but it's happening more. Steven Soderbergh, he directed all of the first season of The Nick, which I was totally obsessed with, and more people. I know David Fincher is directing more, like doing a lot of the same, and Ray is there, even though he may not be credited as directing, he's there. I mean, his show, and on television, the showrunner, writer, creator is the boss. Like for a movie, the director would be the boss, even if he didn't write it or wasn't producing it. The director would be the boss, but on television, the creator is the boss.
Let's get into the show here, since we've talked about everything really but the show.
Just a real
Rectify
long lead up.
season 3 is coming up. It'll be on Thursdays at 10 p.m. on the Sundance TV channel.
And episode 2 is airing tomorrow night.
There you go.
Yeah.
You play, is it Amantha?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is.
All right.
It is
I didn't know if it was
Amantha.
a typo on the website, but then I went to the episode. I'm like, they're calling her Amantha. I guess that's it.
It is. It's one of the great literary names. I mean, that was enough for me. When I read the pilot, I was like, Amantha? Yeah, I want to play her.
Amantha Holden, you play the sister to the main character, Daniel, who's played by Aidan Young. Daniel, the concept of the story here is that he went to jail on a rape charge, right?
Well, he was convicted of raping and killing his high school girlfriend.
Right, and she was like 16 or something.
Yeah, she was 16 and he was 18
Could you get that guy in the blue shirt? Could you get him to come in here, please?
Roland, get in here.
So that happens, but then, as time goes by and technology gets better and the criminal process gets better, through DNA, they
find that his case had to be thrown out, and he's released.
Much to my character's work, she's the one that kind of was dedicated to getting him off death row, and she did it. I mean, she made it happen. Hi, Roland.
Hello,
This is Roland.
Nice to meet you.
Roland is a big fan of yours.
Hey, buddy.
From Suits.
Huge Suits fan.
I hear that you win all the Twitter contests.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah.
You just have so many suits.
Yes.
How many lit up mugs do you have?
2, but I'm a Harvey person. That's why.
Okay.
That's why I'm a fan of yours.
I got it. Yeah. Because I'm the only one that can handle Harvey.
Yes.
Except for Donna, but like a totally different way.
Yeah, not this season. No.
It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Thanks for
too.
watching. I appreciate
Are you coming back for Suits? Because it's kind of left to open.
If I told you, then I'd have to kill you.
That's true. But she's very, very good in Suits.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Look
it.
how bashful is. He's never this
So
quiet.
sweet.
I know.
All right, let's finish this up, and then we'll get some photos here. So, as you were saying with Daniel, the stuff he was let go. DNA tests and everything were proving maybe that he didn't have anything to do it. But you, as his sister, throughout the whole series here, has always believed his innocence.
Yeah, I mean, she is his sister. I mean, she shares the name Holden with him. And also, she feels like it's her charge in life to be his keeper and protector. But what is so interesting, in season 1, we open up on Daniel's release. So it's not all the backstory comes out, but we really are picking up on, okay, what now? Like, he was on death row for 20 years, and what now? And we explore how the effect of his release has been on the family and the town. And
I
particularly
can't
Amanda.
imagine having that happen to myself, and then getting out on a technicality. And even though they can't say that you're guilty of it now, going back to your hometown, to your family, with everyone just constantly judging you, giving you shit, maybe even wanting to kill you, depending on their relationship to what was going on.
Yeah.
After all that time, to try to live a normal life again.
Well, that's what we're exploring, is that could it even be possible? I
Right.
mean, and you really see how damaged Daniel is and was during his time. I mean, he's basically still an 18-year-old kid, who came out. I mean, he's been in a box.
Right.
And that's what has been so interesting and so revelatory. Playing Amantha is having that realization of I don't even know who Daniel really is. Like, I was kind of fighting for a mirage and really having to put those things aside and be like, okay, who is Daniel? And who am I outside of Daniel? And that's kind of where we're at in season 3, is everybody is really trying to explore who they are outside of who they thought Daniel was.
Okay. So what happens to you personally that you can tell us about season 3?
Well, we pick up on season 3 about 2 hours after season 2 ended, which is really interesting.
It's almost like 24.
It's almost like 24. All 3 seasons takes place over about 6 or 7 weeks, we've kind of discovered. And so Amantha is waiting to hear if Daniel is going to reconfess to the crime so he can get off. But if he reconfesses and he can they'll totally drop the charges, it means that he's banished, but he's forever like a convicted murderer.
Right.
But he's free. He's a free man, but he's a convicted murderer, and he's banished from his home state. So it's
how do they work that too? If you're convicted murder for like that, are you also a convicted sex offender?
Well, that
or does
was
the murderer supersede?
There were 2 things, because part of his plea deal, because he did a plea deal, was that he would not confess to raping her. He said that, I won't do that, but I will let you. That's what's so crazy. To a man, she's like, what? Like, this is bananas. Like, This is insanity. So he would not confess to raping her, but he would let them, quote unquote, let them think that he killed her, even though he doesn't know. I don't think he actually knows if he did or not. I think he's really confused, and I think it's so interesting to watch someone really not know, but feel very guilty. And I think Amantha in her gut feels that he did not do it and that he is innocent. But where we pick up is Amantha is starting to wonder herself. And that means that the last 20 years of her life was all for naught as well. So that's a really hard pill to swallow.
Well, I have a tightness in my chest here from the suspense of this. Either that or I'm having a heart attack. But you should definitely go and check out. Should check out Rectify on the Sundance Channel Thursdays at 10 p.m. Season 3 is underway. Episode 2 is tonight.
Yeah, episode 2 is tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
Today's
night?
Wednesday, right? Tomorrow night, Thursday. Yeah.
For some reason I thought it was Thursday.
I know, I did
apologize.
too.
So definitely check that out. And even though we didn't get the chance to talk about it, but we talked about Suits and everything. Great as Suzanne on Mad Men. There, one of the many loves of Don Draper.
One of the many loves, but really the only love. I'm just kidding. I tell myself
you're
that.
just a notch on the Don Draper belt
on
there.
the proverbial
Abigail
Draper
Spencer
belt.
on Twitter and Instagram,
Yeah.
which is great. You got your full name for both. Nobody was squatting on it.
Yeah, because nobody cared when I got it.
So follow her there. Check out the show. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And please come by for your next project.
I would love
Whether
to.
it's this or, in Roland's case, another episode of Suits.
Let's
Maybe
do
you
it.
make a return.
Let's do it.
Anything before we go out, Roland?
Come on, Roland. Bring it home.
Hurry up so I get my picture before you die.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Our time is up.
Yeah, our time is up here on It's Erik Nagel. Thank you for listening.
Indeed.
For these 3 hours that we are allotted every single week on the Opie Radio channel.
That's right.
Matt OG.
Yes, sir.
Geek Stuff OG on Twitter and Instagram.
That's
Follow
correct.
him. Show him some love.
Please.
And he puts some interesting stuff up there. Toy reviews, and he goes to a lot of really cool places like con you went to.
That's right, Garden State Comic Fest. I'm going to the Ren Fair this weekend, so I'll be posting pictures from the fair this weekend for sure.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, baby. Pirates and wenches and mead.
Fetch me some ale.
And a giant-ass turkey leg.
Oh, you could have just stopped at ass.
Sorry. That too.
So, where's the Ren Fair on?
It's New York Renaissance Festival. It's in Tuxedo Park, New York. It's probably about a half an hour outside of the city.
Is that same place when we went a while ago when
Yes.
I joined you? Same exact spot?
Yes.
Because I remember there was some controversy if they were going to move it or not. Or
No, yes, there was, but it is there for good now.
Okay, there we go.
So there
Anything
you go.
else you want to throw out
yeah,
there?
you could check out bkgeekstuff.com. It's the podcast that I do every week. New episodes go up on Thursday. It's more geeky goodness, toys, pop culture, etc., etc.,
And congratulations to revealing the new member, Ken.
Yeah, that's right. Ken is our new third mic returning to the show. He was a member in the early days, but when our third mic recently moved to LA, we were in search of somebody new, and Ken slid in quite nicely.
Ken is our buddy that we think should
Yes.
go on
Oh,
ourbigapartmentshow.com, which is Lisa Carrero's show here.
Ken will be with me at the fair tomorrow, as a matter of fact, so I'll get him good and drunk and take some photos.
There you go. Lisa?
And catch Our Big Apartment Show next Wednesday. We're going live from 2 to 3 in the afternoon. You can always catch the replays, but live is so much more fun. And
Right.
Eric's going to be joining us in our apartment, along with Giddles, cooking in my kitchen.
Nice.
And again, it's ourbigapartmentshow.com. And follow me on Twitter, Lisa Correo, Corrao.
Any comedy dates coming up?
I'm going to be at Word Up in Washington Heights on Tuesday. Check it out.
There you go. Matt Ryan.
Yes'm.
From the world of wrestling and financial radio.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at I'm Matt Ryan. No Small Talk is every day starting tonight at midnight on HiveMindRadio.com. No Small Talk Pod on Twitter. Also, No Small Talk Podcast on iTunes and Stitcher.
So you should listen to that tonight to see what they say about being on this show tonight. Whatever that website is that Matt just gave out there. Also, best of luck to you with your new venture with Ring of Honor.
Thank you.
And your wrestling stuff in general. All find it on your Twitter there, right?
Exactly, at I'm Matt Ryan.
And for this show, it's Erik Nagel on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Please follow all that stuff to find out what's going on. Matt and I have been trying to post a lot of the news as it breaks in the world of entertainment and movies and toys and those kind of things there up on the Facebook. The YouTube is getting some attention as people are picking up on my Doctor Who interviews.
Nice.
Apparently, they said some stuff that they didn't say to other people, which is more gooder for me.
Indeed.
So you can check all that stuff up there, and the rest of the Comic-Con stuff's going up, and interviews and what have you. So please do that if you can. Also, this show, each and every week on SiriusXM On Demand. That's the way to get it if you couldn't join us live and you missed it. Go right there on the app or online. You can download it and enjoy. And next week on the program, we have James Urbaniak. He's Dr. Venture.
Yeah,
he has a
man.
brand new show that he's doing with Julie Klausner called Difficult People on Hulu. They will be here next week. It'll be awesome. Until next time, be seeing ya.